the system I'm going to be talking about today is it's on the Mayan astrology, Mayan / Olmec, because we know that what is being called the Mayan astrology is taken from the Olmec, which is the ancient people that was living in or the first people that predates the Mayan and the Aztecs living in that Mesoamerica. And they're from the information that we got there from West Africa or western part of Africa. Some people say there might be a group from the ancient Egyptians as well. There's a lot of stories around. A lot of people don't hear about the Olmec, but the word of I think it's because of some of the things that they were doing in terms of working with certain plants as well. Yeah. Back in the 90s, I went to an expo, and at the expo, I had a talk. I had a consultation with an astrologer from California. I don't remember her name. And I was telling her some of the things I was going through, or some of the things I was visioning. I'm a dreamer. I get dreams, and most time because I came from my country, and I was living in New York. I lived in New York for 17 years, and I was getting a lot of dream in connection to my country. So I started to talk to her about that, and because a lot of the dreams was giving me vivid images of certain parts of the country. And one case in point was the volcano area. And few years after, thank you, Ryston. Yeah. Anyway, she recommended that I read this book. So she gave me this book, and I didn't read it until 2008. And when I read it, I was amazed because it kind of set certain things along the line what I needed to know. And that's where the name Galactic Clyde came from, because after I did the calendar system of the Mayan and realized that I was a guy, my what is called a galactic signature was the red galactic earth. So galactic is my turn and earth is my my seal. You'll learn more about that as we talk about that. And so the book was quite fascinated in terms of things that I need to know and understand what is considered as fourth dimensional astrology. And so I coined the phrase Galactic Clyde because it represents galactic in the Mayan system represents somebody who's actually living or their purpose is about integrity. You either who you are or who you are to become. And so I find that was very synchronized with myself. And, the red earth, also because when I was young, they used to call me a nickname have to do with red. I wouldn't say that because I wouldn't say the nickname because I don't want nobody to call me that nickname now. So it's interesting that the red earth was my signature because red was also part of somewhat to do with me. And this because of the color. I was more red than a yellow person in that sense. Anyway, I leave that alone. So here's a book. It says The Mayan Factor. And it says here, a part beyond technology. This is very interesting because I'll be touching on some of these area. And this is by Jose Aguileas. Yeah, he passed away just before the 2012. But he talks about the changes that was going to come in connection to the Mayan. Can you put up the next one following that one, Bryson? Yeah. So yes, it was very interesting in terms of the book. So I started to learn about the synchronic code. So I cut out this part. This is the same book, the cover, but this is the emphasis here, a part beyond technology. Because, at that time when the book was written, back then, nobody would encounter that we're thinking that we're moving into a high technological society. But actually what the cycle is saying that we're actually moving beyond technology, because technology is actually a symbolic of our failure in the sense that what we consider as technology is actually we're externalized aspects of ourselves in order to make it be palatable for us to work with or what we call the technology. So the things that we consider technology, such as the cell phone, and we consider advanced aspects of ourselves, we should be able to communicate on a long distance, even without a wireless, with a wireless communication that don't have to be the phone, because we have what is called clear audience and way of telepathy and all of these higher dimensions of the human spirit that we need to tap into. So moving beyond technology, that we're moving more into our spiritual reservoir, tapping into this higher consciousness of ourselves. That's what it's more about when we're talking about moving beyond technology. Because what it is, what they're saying, technology that we have now is based on the synchronic changes that are happening on the planet where we at. And so where we at, they're saying we're moving beyond, we're moving into another cycle that is beyond the limitation of what technology is, because technology itself is a limitation that we're limiting ourselves, and this is why we have to create external props really to in order to sustain and to help us, when we're supposed to be actually activate the powers within to be allow the higher dimensional frequency work through us as the true technology in that sense. Okay, next one, Royston, please. Okay, and so what we have here is what is called the Zolkin chart. Yes, and the Zolkin chart is actually the Mayan calendar, or what is called the sacred calendar. And in the sacred calendar, it's got 260 day count. That 260 days is also, each day is also is connected to also a year, because all of this also have an octave to it. Same thing with our regular calendar. Our regular calendar, the present day calendar we have, is actually a calendar coming from ancient Egypt, based on research that was done by a research group in America that explained that both the calendar or calendar that we have is actually was based on the Gregorian as well as the I think Julius Caesar. When they wanted a calendar, they realized the ancient Egyptian was one of the best people in terms of the calendar linking with the heavens, and they actually get a calendar made by one of the priests, and they tweaked the calendar a little bit from Julius to Gregorian, and now we're in the Gregorian calendar system, something along that line. So if you want to do any more research, and that is called the Calendar Project. I don't remember the author, but I could always get that if you wanted to find it. But there's the Calendar Project, is a research project done by a group of Africans in Harlem concerning our present calendar system, and it's actually based on ancient Egyptian. Anyway, the Mayan calendar system synchronized time in connection to this, what is called it, Gregorian, or the calendar system that we have. And so how it's done by a series of numbers or calculation. And they calculate time from the Mayan system into our present calendar system. And so therefore, this is how we're able to have Mayan, what is considered Mayan time. And I'll put up a chart that actually shows you the calculation if people wants to get a copy of that chart. So I've been using this for a while in terms of that system, and show people that the calendar is not just a linear or one dimension of calculation, but it's also connected to a spiritual vibration, or help us to understand ourselves more so. You can do the same thing with this calendar we have. For instance, if you're born at a certain date, you can add the date and the age to find out which date your current cycle that you fall under. Let me give an example. Say you were born, we're at the 3rd of July, and somebody is born 4 years ago. That means that before they'll be moved to the 3 and 4 is 7. So their actual birthday would move what is called a progress in astrology. There will be progress to the 7th of July as actually the cycle that they fall under this year. And that itself also have a meaning itself different from the meaning of the 3rd of July. So each days of the week have their own meaning, but that itself was locked away from the system that we have in terms of the calendar system we have. So we don't understand how we're connected with a time frequency that every year we move 1 year forward into the future, and that 1 year means that we move a cycle, and that cycle have a meaning to it. And that's what, as astrology, we call it a progress. We progress your chart by your time frequency based on your age, and we can tell you what to expect each year, because each year is a cycle of 260 or 360 degree or a degree in time. Well, the Mayan system is set up the same way, that when you look at the Zolkin chart, which you see those squares, it's actually showing you how you progress over time. So based on your calculation, it would tell you how it's done. The last slide I set up, you could put that up, Ryston. Oh yes, it's here, which is this one. I don't know if everybody can see it. This shows you each year what the number is, what and each month what the number is, whether you're born early part of the month or late part of the month, or I mean the early part of the months or the later part of the months. It gives you a number. You add those number. So your date of birth is equal a number on the chart here. Your month of birth is equal a number, and the day that you were born, it stays the same. You add those numbers together, and whatever number you get would fall, if it's fall between the 260 Zolkin cycle, then that's which one of those, that's your galactic signature, and that tells a lot about you. So you might be red galactic earth, you might be the mirror, you might be the storm, you might be the serpent, you might be the monkey, you might be the one of these what they call a solar seal. So you got your solar seal and your lunar turn. So when you're coming down at the right side, you see the solar seals are the images and the numbers are the tones. And the bar, you see the bar and the dot, each dot represents 1 and the bar represents 5. So if you got a bar and a dot, that's number 6. So the bar is 5 and the dot is 1 equals 6. If you just have a straight bar, that's number 5. So that's your tone, which represents we're connected to the lunar cycle, while the seal is connected to the solar cycle. So bringing the cycles together. When you look at those squares where you see the black and white squares, the black squares represent what is called galactic activated portals. And so if you're born at the galactic activated portals or in the time of a galactic activated portals, it means that actually you're going through certain activation, you're connected with ancestral, and certain mystical or mystery is also a part of your life when you fall on those black squares. Yes? Okay. So if you look at the chart and you look at 1968, you get the number 172. Yes, so 172 is the synchronic code for 1968. Yes, and it's also the same synchronic code for 2020. So let's talk. So we synchronize time from the Mayan system into the Gregorian system. That's why I call it synchronic. You synchronize time in connection, but each time frequency is synchronized into what is called a 52 years. So every 52 years, the cycle repeats itself in terms of what is called the synchronic code. So from 1958, which is the cycle in the Mayan system goes from July 25th, 1 year, to the next year, from July 26th, sorry, to July 25th. So start from the 26th of July is the new year, to the 25th of July is the end of the cycle, and the 26th begins another cycle. So the cycle is start from July to July, and that's the year cycle of the Mayan. Yes, and what happens within that cycle, we have different synchronic numbers or codes that are aligned. And so the synchronic code for 2020 is the same aligned with 1968, or 52 years prior to 1968, or 52 years after 2020. In that sense, so time synchronized in the 52. So you get similar activities or similar things are synchronized with activities that happened back in 1968. Case in point, we know that 1968, which I call the synchronic code in 1968, we have the Hong Kong flu, which was devastating Hong Kong. And actually that they said was created by the Chinese as a way to control or to manipulate the Hong Kong people. We know that this year, 2019, 2020, which is the synchronic code, 2020 synchronic code is 172, synchronized with 1968. We know that similar to the Hong Kong flu, we have what is called the coronavirus or COVID-19. We also had the death of Martin Luther King also happened in 1968. And we know that as the year opened, the same day I was writing the synchronic code for 2020, and I was explaining the connection with the synchronic code and the year 2020 with Martin Luther King, we had an assassination takes place, a government assassination, where you had Donald Trump talk about he put out the hit, and Soleimani, which is his name, Soleimani means the gift of God. He said he put out what they call it, assassination of he actually admit that they've done this assassination on Soleimani. But what we knew, what we understand from the history going back with Martin Luther King, that the documents comes out that actually this was Martin Luther King died, and actually a government assassination plan, that there was a government trained assassin, and they take out Martin Luther King. Despite that, we heard that a lot of that was done by other people that was blamed for it. Actually, the report, the information that we get, that it actually was done by government assassination. And this was based on lawyer research by some lawyers talking about that with the King's family. Okay. Okay, so the synchronic code is very, very important, and everybody that can actually look at what their galactic signature is and what they represent it under, because this is called fourth dimension astrology, because we actually anchor with a certain time, and each day of the year, each year also have different meaning within a coded understanding. And if we understand these teachings, whether it is the Western astrology, Vedic astrology, or the Mayan astrology, it helps us to understand time, not just on the linear, looking at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the week, the days of the week, but also time on a spiritual level, what that means for us that born on a certain day, on a certain cycle, on a certain planetary influence. And that's what that goes to. So the Mayan call it your galactic signature. Your galactic signature tells you who you are, what your personality, who you are becoming. And so that's when you read a lot of the oracles, you said, this is who you are or who you are becoming. So I am red galactic earth or galactic Clyde. This is who I am and who I am becoming. So I'm who I am based on the energy that I'm born on, whether I'm developed to the fullness of it or I'm developing it to the fullness. And when I did the galactic signature for Marcus Garvey and for Malcolm X, I realized that they both, even though they're born at different time, they both have the same galactic signature, which was quite interesting. So they both have a lot in common in terms of their energy and how they operate. And actually, they were the yellow warriors. They're both yellow warriors. And actually, is the yellow galactic warriors. So they're both galactic as well. Okay. Okay. Moving ahead. When I saw the synchronic code, and I will show you how to what the number is for the synchronic code. I'm just going back to the chart here. Let's see. When I saw the synchronic code for 2020, it was amazing because actually, when I look, it was kin 1. It was kin 172, which means it's the yellow electric human. And the yellow human is actually have to deal with mental powers or mental aspect. And so I know that this year was very, have a lot of impact amongst mental aspects in terms of the mind, and a very active energy is the number 3, because electric is 3 dots. So 3 dots is electric, 1 dot is actually what is called magnetic. So not only that, last year in July 26, we enter what is called the white magnetic wizard. And the white magnetic wizard means that we're in a new cycle that is going to take us 52 years. It's a 52-year cycle because we start a new cycle. Being magnetic is being 1. So when you look at the white magnetic wizard on the chart, you see 1 dot and the symbol for the white wizard. So it's the white magnetic wizard. You got the white magnetic wizard, you got the, which is 1, you got the lunar wizard, which is 2, you got the electric wizard, which is 4, all the way to 13. So the what is called the Zolkin cycle is actually a 13-time table or 13 permutation table. So that looking at time cycles based on the number 13 as a frequency, and
do
also
I need to go back?
the
Do I need to go back to the previous slide?
Yes, if you go back to the colored Zolkin chart, yes.
Is that what you're talking about right now?
Yes, yes, please. Thanks.
Yeah?
I couldn't get back to you. Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
This one or back more?
I haven't seen it.
It's
The
up
colored
there.
one, the red.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the
Oh,
260.
This one, yes. If
Yeah.
you look right on the left-hand side, you would see the dot there, number 14. That is the white. Yes, that one. That is the white magnetic wizard. That only comes around, the cycle comes around every 52 years. So the last time we were in the white magnetic wizard was 1968. Once this is complete, the next time we would gonna be in the magnetic wizard would be 52 years in the future. So we started a whole new 52-year cycle. And that's what happened in 1968 in connection to the time of the assassination of Martin Luther King. Okay, so that taking us 52 years into the future, and July, if we move, okay, so this now what is called this each side, if we look at the numbers coming down from 1 to 20, each one is called the Bacton cycles. So there is 13 cycles of 20, which is 2013, yeah, 13 cycles. So this is number 1, number 2, all the way, which is called the columns. So all the columns going across, yes, okay. But the important column that we need to be aware of, which we're gonna be accessing, because when if we have to calculate the date for today, all we have to do is add the number for today, which is 172, yes, to the number for the month, which is 181, to the date for today, which is number 3, and that tells us where we at today, where we at in the cycle, which is. And then if it's over 260, then we take away 260. Yes. And I think we're at kin 90, I think that's 96 we're at.
Right, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Or do you want to wait till the end?
Yeah, you should ask me a question. That's fine. It's interactive.
So
I like interactive.
How do you arrive at 172? How do you arrive at 181? How do you arrive at 3?
Okay. 172 is the signature for the year. So the year itself is 172. So with the 172 plus the month equals to 181, and then the day equal to sorry, I should do plus.
But how do you calculate those numbers?
Yeah, the numbers is already set, because that's what the chart, the white chart shows you all the numbers calculate. This is calculating Mayan time into our time. It's already set already. All we have to do is follow it. I'm going to show you how to do it. Let me just take away 260 just to show you where we at. So they were kin 96. So I was right about that. But I'm going back to the chart. I'll show you. Let me just go back to the chart. Sorry. That's a good question. If we go back to the white chart with the numbers on it, you will see all the numbers for the month and all the numbers for the year, not that one, the next one with the round circle.
That one or this one?
No, the black and white.
Okay, yeah.
Oh no, you don't have that. No, it's the other one with the round circle. This tells you the cycle based on 396 years, and that's what we've been evolving. So yeah, these are different bands that locks us in time. But not this one. This shows you the planetary frequency that aligned with all the numbers. but it's not this one. Do you have another one still? Another black and white.
I thought it was
It might be in
four you
what
sent me.
it might be in the what. Sorry.
Oh boy, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens? We're calculating time. Each day of the each month have a number that's associated with links with Gregorian, and each year have a number that's associated that links it. And then we do the calculation. So when we do the calculation, so I just did the calculation to show you that we at kin. Kin means the sun, and that's kin 96. So today we're at kin 96. Tomorrow we're kin 97 all the way. So we're traveling along the Zolkin cycle by one day. Each day equals one cycle within the Zolkin as well as 1 year. Yeah, you find it?
Come in.
So each cycle represents 260 years as well as 260 days within the Zolkin cycle. So each year,
can you see that?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
You can't see it? Okay.
Yeah. So each square represents a day as well as a year. Okay, so anybody wants to do the Zolkin to see what the galactic signature is, and it's so on point. Yes, this is it. So if you look at the bottom and to the left, you see the months, and to the right, you also see the months. You also have the year and the year. So if your year not there, what we normally do is minus by like if I minus 52 years from 2020, I get 1968 because 2020 is not on the board. So in order for me to find out what is equivalent year to 2020, I go to 1968. I know it out of my head.
Okay.
So you see 172 on the right? Yeah. So that is the synchronic code for 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah, and when we want to find the synchronic code for 2021, we just go to 19, because each year moving forward, 1969 would be number 17. So that would tell us the code for 2021. So each year is also connected with 52 years in that sense.
The 181, where did that come from?
181, it goes to the month. So we're in the month of July.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and then the day is July 3rd. So we add all of that together. And then if it's over 260, we take away the 260, and that gives us the number 96 to let you know this is where we are in the cycle. So this, we're looking at the day cycle. When you're looking at your life now, you're looking at the yearly cycle, because each year you're moving within the cycle. But the most important thing to find out is where you're falling within the cycle and what it represents. So we're at 96, and we know 96, we know in 5 more days we'll be at 4 more days from 96 we'll be 100, and then we start a new column which is 101. Now 101, that column is called the rhythmic column because it's the number 6 column, and number 6 is considered rhythmic, just like number 8 is galactic, and number 7 is resonant. Yeah. Okay, so we're on that column. This is one of the roughest column cycle. So when we hit there, which is in the 5 more days, we're gonna hit this cycle, things gonna change. But the most important start of this is where you go down to number 1, which is 105. That's where we start what is called the blue castle. So from number 5, yeah, all the way to 52 days into that, it's the blue castle. So the whole cycle of the 260 days is also divided into 4, which is called castles. Similar to our year is divided into 4, called the seasons of the summer, spring, summer, autumn, fall. They have the 4 castles or 5 castles. Yeah, 5 times 52. And so each castles have their different aspects of themselves. So we're entering that castle in about 10 more days, which is 10 more days or something like that. Is on July 12th we enter, which is kin number 105, which brings us into the blue castle. Now the blue castle is called the blue castle of chaos and transformation. So every time we hit that castle for 52 years, we're going through this cycle, which is called chaos and transformation, until we reach to which is number 25. Is it 256 or 150. I can see the yes, 156. Yes. So if you add 105 and 156, you get 52 days, which means that is the full castle. So that is the blue castle of chaos and transformation. Okay, so that means while we're going through that, lot of chaos, a lot of problematic things manifest itself. And because we're going to it in the time of, we're going to the sign of Cancer, the sign of Leo, and the sign of just 2 days, and the sign of Virgo, because it straddles 3 signs, issues surrounding in connection to that sign will manifest in terms of issues of family, issues of children, issues of health, because these are the aspects that these 3 signs represent as well. But it's normally one of the biggest chaotic cycles when we hit the blue castle of chaos and transformation, or because they call it the court of magic. Not every year around July 11 doesn't happen. It happens because the Zolkin cycle is connected to the gestation period, which is 260, actually 9 months really, in terms of pregnancy. And that's how they explain it. Yeah, so we enter in a very rough cycle from July 12th to September 2nd. I calculate it in this time. And so it's going to be a rough cycle. The best part of this is the middle, which is called the resonance. So the middle starts from 121. This is called the mystic column, because this is the center. So when we go into the mystic column, it gives us a little break because things are more mystical and we're able to handle things a little better. But you see all these black squares starting from 106, those are all gaps. It's called Galactic Activation Portal. So we're going to 10 days of Galactic Activation Portal, and those are rough. And then when we go on the other side, we also have another 10 days of Galactic on the other side here. Yes, going down there, another 10 days. And so this is symbolic of the brain. It looks like a butterfly that they would tell you. It looks like a butterfly, but it also represents the brain. So the middle, which is called the mystic column, is the central brain column, or the central, like going up the spine to the central brain, representing on the third eye. And then you got the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. So this whole schematic is also symbolic of the brain. Yes, so we're crossing over from one aspect of the brain's frequency to the another aspect. So the mystic column is very interesting. I've done a research on the brother that passed, what's his name?
Robert Duggie?
Brother from Ethiopia, the brother from Ethiopia.
Sorry.
What was his name again? I forget his name. He was doing some work in the community and he died. He was shot in California.
Not Dr. Sabi.
No, not Sabi, not Dr. Sabi.
Okay.
The brother that doing a lot of work in the community.
Nipsey.
I forget. Yes, Nipsey Hussle. Yeah,
Okay,
his birth, his date of birth actually brings us to the beginning of just before he enters the cycle of, I think his kin was 130, 104. And then 1 year after his birth, he's entered the cycle. And for all of his life, he's been in the blue castle because he's not 50, he wasn't 52 years. So all his life, he's been living in this, going through this cycle. So he had a rough life. And he died he died within the mystic column. I checked that out myself. Also, the brother that died in January, he's also was in this mystic column. So when you look at your galactic signature, it can tell whether you're in that cycle or you past that. For me, my kin is, you can look at my kin here, is 177. You can see the bar and the 3 dot, which is galactic. And if you go to the right of it, you'll see that it says Earth, which is the red Earth. So I'm red galactic Earth, which means I'm Galactic Clyde. That's where the name come from. Yes? So that is my galactic signature. So every time I'm using the word Galactic Clyde, I'm recognizing my galactic signature, my tone and my kin, my tone and my seal. Even though I don't use the word Earth, I use my physical body, Clyde, or my name as Clyde. So I'm red galactic Earth or Galactic Clyde, which means synchronicity and actually working with sacred geometry and working with vortex, which is work that I've done in the community, which is amazing.
Okay.
When I read about my thing, so I'm sure somebody gonna want to volunteer, do their connection. But that's something I could do for people if they need help. But you have this chart, you can always read it and see how to calculate. And then once you get the number, you go onto Google and you type in Red Galactic Earth if you're Galactic Earth, or Red Galactic Warrior, or whatever the name is that comes up under the number that you're born under. And yeah, so that's the way to do it. And the names are there also for each one of the different seals. So the seals are down the right. You see all the solar seals, and so they're running parallel, vertical,
Clyde,
and then
Clyde,
horizontal is yes.
we need to
Yes, go
call
ahead.
you time, yeah? You need to call you time.
Okay, well, I'm open for questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at time, yeah?
Yeah, you didn't have to stop so abruptly.
Okay, so
but
the most important
finish
thing
your
here
sentence or whatever.
okay, thank you. Okay, the most important thing for people to realize that we're going to that rough patch from July 12 right down to the 2nd of September. And this begins actually when we enter 101, when we enter the rhythmic, because the rhythmic is actually problematic cycle when we enter that column, number 6 column. And so could you imagine if you look at the other chart that gives you the cycles of time based on yearly cycle from 1916, 18 to 20 to 9, I think it's 16, 18 to 2012, and it shows you the cycle that we're going through. And so this is what's happening. We're into another cycle in time, and this is where shifting us from the world of technology, where we're actually dealing with more of our inner high-tech knowledge. And that's why they can tell you we're moving beyond technology, because we're moving in a different band of time, similar to we go through time band. I'm on the phone, baby. Similar, we go through a different time band every year or every day or every cycle. Yes? Okay, I'm open for questions. Anybody have any questions?
The question was put in the chat about what are you predicting when you say rough times?
Well, it's the court of magic, and it's called chaos and transformation, because a lot of things happen to people in different ways. Or I work in the construction field, and I remember a few years back when we entered the cycle, a customer called me and they tell me what the problem was with electrical, and it was all chaotic. No matter what it did, the whole cycle was chaotic, that she thought she was jinx. Yeah? And there's other things that I'll deal with. So people that are actually experiencing this would think that they're actually jinx. I talk to people also that their birth cycle, they're going through this. And it seems because this is a make or break cycle, this also helps you to tap into your spiritual reservoir and to be more spiritual. And that's where master teacher is born, when you're actually able to ride the storm of this roughest time of your life cycle. So you see that in a yearly cycle, but some people are locked into it in time. Some people are enter it while they're born, and some people are leaving it. Yeah, I talked to somebody the other day that says, I've been in this cycle, I never know about it, but it's been a rough cycle, and they clarified these things. So we're gonna see, because we can experience, we can see the experience as things begins to change and things begin to get chaotic from July 12 right to September the 2nd.
Okay, Nkechi's got a question. Nkechi's got a question.
Let me unmute myself. So everybody tighten your seatbelts. That's all you have to do.
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, greetings everybody, and Galactic Clyde and Sister Auntie Jean and Royston. So how similar is this to the, because at the moment I hear people talking about Mercury retrograde, which to me,
Mercury retrograde, yes.
Retrograde, that cycle that you're talking about sounds a little bit like that. Because I've noticed more recently, things have not necessarily been chaotic, but very sticky and stuck. And I've been saying to people, because I'm not much of an astrologist, but I've been listening to you and other people say it. And so I realized for me, I try to think, oh, I'm above the astrology. I try to work above it if I can. And so what
Yes.
I've done is just like, it's almost like I've just had to be patient. I'm not a very patient person, but I've learned during this time just to be patient and to stay focused. So you don't give up from your goals, but I've had to kind of just allow it to take its time and stay focused and be patient. Is it a similar thing, or is it completely different?
Yeah, Mercury retrograde is a very short cycle, but however, and I must say however, when this cycle begins, Mercury would be still retrograde on the 12th of July. So it means that he adds to the power, he adds to it. That cycle itself of the blue castle is actually ruled by Mars. Yeah? Because and then Mars is in Aries, so it's a lot of personal issue would manifest, because I'm looking at the ruler, because this is the wave spell. I didn't talk about the wave spell, but this, which is kin 105, which is the one that it says the red magnetic serpent, which is actually ruled by Mars, and it's also representing Kundalini energy. Sorry.
Keep going. Somebody not mute.
Sorry.
I want to say that if you remember the year when we had the hurricane that destroyed the Caribbean, we at the same time the hurricane, we were in that cycle at the same time the hurricane passed through. So this is how okay I think it can be in that sense.
Okay.
So go ahead. Another question.
So there's a question from Vashti that says, in 2012, did we enter a particular gateway? And
yes,
what else? And what else will the 52-year cycle bring?
If you look at the cycle, which is Royston, which is the one with the numbers, the other black and white square, it shows you all the cycle coming from 1331 all the way to 2012, and it shows you which is 394 years. Every 394 years we enter a different backtone. And so we come to the end of the backtone cycle. Yeah, and that's what 2012 was. And so we started a new cycle. And that's what they're talking about. So we're in a new 394-year cycle. And if you look at the chart, if you put that chart up again, you would see that the Mayan, even though people think that they didn't realize that they had this information all this time, but they've been calculating time because they were going through this change, because they had a system that tells them what the changes on the planets was going to be. And this system is based on also the stars. Yes, this is the chart. At the top of the chart, if you look, you see the cycle begins from 3113 BC, and every 394 years, you see all the changes that they show you the cycle along with the backtone. So each column is a backtone. And so we enter 2012, which is the backtone, which is the last backtone cycle. And so we're back to number 1.
Okay.
You see? So we're back to that frequency, and that's what they're saying in terms of that. And that's a different energy altogether. Okay? So you also have the columns, you have the dots, you have the bars, you have different ways of calculating time and different frequency. Angelina, please. So we know in our regular system, I'll draw an example. We have the week, yes? In the Mayan system, they have the week, but they don't call it a week. They call it a wave spell, which is 13 days. So the week is actually 13 days week, while our week is 5 days. So from 1 to 13. So we know that when the numbers goes from 1 to 13, 1 to 13, 1 to 13, until we get to 260, then 1 to 13 again. Yeah, so that's the cycle. So the cycle of the Zolkin is 260 days as well as 260 years. But also they're calculating another cycle, which is every columns is also 394 years.
Okay.
Then you also got the 20-year cycle, which is the cartoon or the backtone. They got the different names for it. Yes.
So you got, there are 3 questions, but they blend. One says, being confused and not knowing which way to turn or what to delve into in terms of business. And the other is saying, what is your suggestion that we do go during this time? And then the final one, when does things get better for us as a people to heal?
When it gets better, what?
for when does it get better for us as a people to heal?
Okay.
So when you've done those,
Great.
answer those questions, then that probably be time, yeah?
Okay.
So her sister, who's Galaxy S6, has had her hand up for a little while.
Okay, we'll finish with her then.
Okay.
Thanks.
What's important for people, what I would recommend that they get their galactic signature so they know where they're at in the cycle of time, because that helps you to know where you are. For instance, the cycle that I'm on is different from the blue cycle. I passed the blue cycle already, yes, in terms of when I was born, yes? But some people are coming towards it and some people are right in it and they don't know, yeah? And when you're in it and you don't know, it makes it even worse because you don't understand what happened. You think somebody is working something against you or whatever, but it's some restriction so that you may understand certain things. So that's where sometimes the priestly character is developed. That's where people have to tap in more into the deeper they connect with the ancestral realm. What I find that was very interesting when I started to look at the rough cycle of 2012, I realized the symbolic connection with what is called the white wizard and the complement. The complement kin of the white wizard is located in the blue castle of chaos and transformation, which lets me know that the white wizard is very similar to the blue castle of chaos and transformation. So at the same time we entered the white wizard last year, July 26th, we're actually experiencing the blue castle because it's similar to the white wizard cycle. Yes, and it means that when we enter the new cycle, which is July 26, which is the blue lunar storm, with the blue colors, the colors also symbolic of the race, where the white is symbolic of the white race, the blue, white European, I should say, the blue symbolic of the African, the yellow symbolic of the yellow Asian, and the red Native American. So that's something also is in connection as well. So also, when we enter the cycle of the blue storm, which is July the 26th, we enter the blue magnetic storm because we move from 1 to now 2, which is from 1, which is magnetic, to 2, which is lunar, and that represents our people. But what is happening, because it's a lunar storm, what we have to be aware of, that the polarity that's going to be manifesting for African people, because we're going to face a lot of polarity within our people itself. And case in point, that's already happening. People are talking about the statue of Haile Selassie that's been taken down. That's one that's going to cause a big rift in terms of polarity. But there's a lot of things going to be happening because it's going to be very empowering for us, but it's also going to be also a major pull between how we're gonna deal with the energy, because it's the blue lunar storm.
Okay, last question. Galaxy 6, who has no name.
Will you put your hand up? Are you muted?
Hello?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what is your name, please?
My name is Sam Gisagara, all the way from Africa.
Okay.
East Africa, Uganda.
Okay.
So,
So
I think,
Sam.
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking actually, why is it that you particularly talk about the astrology as if it is a foreign? You talk about Maya astrology or Eastern or what, Middle Eastern astrology, when it came all the way from the Sudan Empire, of which Egypt was a mere province, by which, when you look at the mathematics and astrology, all it came from Africa, completely from Africa, black Africa. That is, Sudan means black in Arabic,
Yes.
and that's the black people. So what I was trying to say, sir, in Africa, I mean, the oldest empire ever set up in in Africa, south of Sahara, after Sudan, was the Bunyoro Kitara of Uganda, which is Uganda now, extending from up to Zimbabwe, northern Tanzania, the whole Tanzania, and western Kenya, and eastern Zaire. So that people there, they use, when they came down, and met the bunch of people and the other people. I mean, in Africa, or what they call Negroes. The Bantu. They was, and I'm talking about something very important.
Sam?
So they were called them, but crazy people with very influential powers because they could see. Yes, sir.
Sam.
Yes, sir, I was trying to articulate my question. Sir.
One second.
Yes, sir.
We would love you to come and do a presentation right now.
I would like. Yeah, let me try to articulate my question. Yes,
let me finish. Right now, you can ask a question.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So just the question, not a presentation, just ask a question to give the brother a chance to finish.
Exactly, sir.
What is your question, please?
The question, sir, is that as he said that the modern technology is not essential, is a failure of our ability to relate to our higher powers and ancestors. And I think that's very true. Can you explain and expand on that, please? Because I think that's what it means.
Okay, if we have to look at the grinder, we're looking at our teeth, isn't it? We do grinding, we grind our food every day, so we always use the grinder. But we now decided to use that whole technology of the body into something that we make in order to grind grain or in order to grind and make house. So that's a technology that is within. All the camera is also the technology of the eyes, and like we talk about the video and audio and all of these are all our technology. We externalize them and call it technology, but it's all part of our spiritual connection. We also can talk to each other from long distance without a telephone. You know, we call it the psychic ability, or we say clear audience or clear sight and things like that. So yes, I'm familiar with the Sudan. There's a very good book called The Heart of Ngoni. Very powerful book. I highly recommend it. And it talks about the power and the spirituality. But remember, I start out by explaining that the system of the Mayan is coming from the Olmec. But what we don't have, which I hope you might be able to bring that to our attention, is the information concerning the continuity of that information of the study of the Mayan leading back to Africans that are still using that same thing. I'm still seeking that out. But we know that they have this information in West Africa because they saw it written on the calabash. And so they link that the Olmecs with West African tribes. So we know that. But we're still, African mystery system is still a secret to the rest of the world. A lot of the Europeans are still trying to get into the mystery system, which is still continued today. Because anyway, I could go into more, but let's leave it there for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it. Okay, thank you very much, Galactic Clyde. Very interesting. As I said, you've got a lot of questions, a lot of feedback there. So I've no doubt people are going to want to ask more questions afterwards. So thank you very much. We're moving on to our next presentation, and we have our brother Lyndon Wissart on his journey to becoming a type 2 diabetic with no sugar, no sugar coating. So Lyndon Wissart.
Yeah, no sugar coating, Auntie G, no sugar coating. Oh, thank you very much for having me this evening. Just good to get this. Thank you very much, Auntie Jean, Royston, and the Garvey Village for having me on once again. I do appreciate it, and I don't take it lightly at all, at all. The journey of me becoming type 2 diabetes, I've been thinking about this while I was listening to Galactic Clyde, you know, and I just putting my prayers together and putting my spirit together for this month for it to be positive, no trouble, you know, because I know things happen, but sometimes we've got to put our mindset, you know, in a position where if trouble comes your way, deal with it in the right way, still be positive about what's happening around you, because we got to look after ourselves in the sense of the next generation, you know? So sometimes we have to lead by example of what we're doing. So Galactic Clyde, you know, I fully understand. I love what you're talking about. It's a different kind of energy that I'm getting from listening to you, you know, because there's different things that we're doing in the community, and it just shows the kind of people we have within our community who educates us and inspires us and give us the energy to do other things, you know. So while I was listening to Galactic Clyde and the things that my talk's going to be about, you know, I'm going to diverse a little bit because I was going to be more specific on how I reversed my type 2 diabetes, my journey to it, yeah. But I'm going to go back a little bit. And I've been thinking about my daughter, yeah. My daughter, she's 16, you know. And since I've been on my journey since October 2015, when I was diagnosed, 2016, 2017, when my book was launched as well, yeah. My daughter has been on a journey with me, yeah. So when she was 15, 16, now she's coming up to 17, she's been on a journey with me, coming to events with me, you know. Like I'm sure she's been to an Auntie Jean event with me, but she's been on a lot of Brother Dougie's events with me as well, you know. And the thing about it, she's met a lot of people in the community, culturally, yeah. She's seen different foods. She's seen different people's attitudes towards health and well-being because of the events we put on with the Garvey Village, you know. So my daughter now, she has days when she detoxes. She don't eat sweets. She don't have biscuits. She don't have no fizzy drinks. She's always thinking what she's gonna eat. Yeah, she's doing her own little healthy juices now. She loves mango, so she's going down the mango route at the moment. You know, so little things like that. You got to go back and think, how are we starting the next generation of healthy eating? Even though we've got this war going on around the world with this virus and what they're trying to do to us, we have to keep ourselves fit and energized and healthy at the same time. No matter what, it's so easy to go and have a fried chicken, yeah? Okay, it's so easy to open up a nice fizzy drink, open up a nice bottle of fizzy drink or something like that because you're frustrated or something like that. Try and find something healthier to eat and drink on a regular basis. Detox your body as well. Because you know something, when the time comes, yeah, and the time is, we're here in the time when we need to be strong mentally and physically. And we have to be aware of that at all aspects, you know? So I'm saying to myself, my daughter's got to start eating healthier to keep herself well, exercise. She goes out to jog and doing things. So what I'm saying is be conscious about what your children are eating. And don't be afraid to tell them not to eat that now. Yeah? Because I told my daughter, don't eat that. You don't need that. You know? Don't go there. If they say you want something to eat and they want you to cook it in a healthier way. Yeah? I'm doing some cooking sessions now where I'm adding things like, for instance, moringa, yeah, spirulina, yeah, fenugreek, turmeric into drinks, yeah, into food, but they don't know it's in there. Yeah, they don't know it's in there, but it's going to make them healthier, give them more energy. Because if you put them in the food, you tell them what you're putting in it sometimes. I ain't eating that. My daughter said to me today, I've done a curry for them today, yeah? My daughter said, I found some mushrooms in the fridge, so I thought, let me just finish the mushrooms off and put them in the curry. My daughter said to me, I'm not eating the mushrooms in the curry. She said, but if you cut it up small for me, I don't mind eating. I just don't want to taste that texture. I don't like it. So I chopped them up small. I showed it to her. I said, are you happy with this? She goes, yeah. So I put it in there. But the mushrooms got vitamin D in it. Yeah, vitamin D. Yeah, we're talking about the vitamin D and the melanin and all that kind of thing, yeah. We have to look at the foods that can help us as well, you know. I don't know everything, yeah, but I'm starting and I'm doing something, you know. So my journey onto becoming type 2 diabetes, yeah, even started when I was a young child, well, when I was living at home with my mother, because I'm the youngest of 3, you know, and my mother divorced when I was young. You know, and so it was just me and my mother, one of my older brothers living at home. So my mom didn't have enough money even to buy me a tin of Coke. Yeah, the only time I remember getting tin of Coke at home when I was young, living at home with my mother, is when I was going on a school trip. Yeah, when she would make me a ham, lettuce sandwich and a tin of Coke. Yeah, that was my lunch on a school trip going away back then. Yeah, but when I got older, I started to earn some money. Yeah, and then I started to have my little sweets, my little biscuits, you know, my little tin, and all that kind of thing. But it wasn't essential at that time, you know. Right now, my daughter, she could have, she's got a brain of money. She's doing her own little business now. I can't believe it. Yeah. And she doesn't spend the money on junk food. She doesn't buy these fizzy drinks and all that kind of thing, but she's got the money to do it. Yeah, she's got the money to do it. I can't go into a bedroom, and this is what I do as a father. Yeah, I go into my daughter's bedroom and I look in her dustbin to see what's in there. Yeah, I go and see what's in the dustbin to see there. And you know something, I don't see anything that she shouldn't be having in there. Yeah, if she has something that she shouldn't have in there, I'll confront her with it. Yeah, or if she does have something, she'll tell me. She don't hide it. You know, because I said to her sometimes, you know, if you're being good all week, you're entitled to reward yourself. You're entitled to reward yourself. And this is what I put into her head. Reward yourself for doing the right things. So you don't have your fizzy drinks every day. You don't have your biscuits every day. You don't have your chocolates every day. You don't need it every day. But if you want it at a weekend to celebrate that you had a good week, do that. You know, my journey from becoming type 2 diabetes, I had to look back. In my book, I talk about when I used to work at the Savoy Hotel. I was a young man in my teens, yeah, working at the Savoy Hotel. And when I was working at the Savoy Hotel, in the afternoon, they'll bring around a trolley full of water and lemonade. Yeah. As a teen, what are you going to drink? He's drinking water. He's going to go for the lemonade. Yeah. So I used to take a tin of lemonade, drink one, take another couple for later as well. So this was normal when I was working in Savoy. In the 90s, yeah, because we I don't even know where the programming came, but the programming came that sugar gave you energy. Yeah. So when they put that into your head, it must be from an advert, sugar gives you energy. Your natural thought is, okay, I'm going to have some sweets. Yeah, that's going to give you energy. My energy sweet was jelly babies. Yeah, jelly babies. We was living in London, and we had relatives that lived down in Ramsgate by the coast. And back then, it would take us about an hour and a half to drive down there because they had the rough roads, the A roads. Not like now, they got much better motorways to get down there. So I used to take 2 bags of 150 grams of jelly babies for my trip down there. Yeah, I will eat jelly babies on my way driving down there. Okay, because I'm thinking it's going to keep me awake. Keep me awake. And the reason why I used to take that for my energy to keep me awake, because a lot of people back then in the 90s said, Lyndon, when you come around my house, don't sleep, please. Yeah, don't sleep. Because I had a habit of going to people's houses. As soon as I hit the sofa, I was gone. I was gone. So my thing was to have my jelly babies on a regular basis to eat those kind of foods. Yeah. So back in that was back in the 90s, you know, just think coming to 20s now, working as a chef full time, you know, these places that you're working in the morning, you go there, they'll give you a full breakfast. You could go someplace, they'll, Lyndon, have what you want. So what you do, you're not going to go for fruit salad in the morning. You're not going to have nice drink, water, so like, you're going to go for the croissants, the Danishes, you know, the sausage, the bacon, the egg, the beans, everything you're going to go for. You just put it on a plate and eat that way before you start to work. You're going to have a cup of tea and you're going to have your bread and everything like that. That's it before you even start to work, you know? But the thing about it, we do these things on a day-to-day basis without even noticing it, you know? At lunchtime as a chef, I remember, you know, we'd have pasta, rice, potatoes. And back then, because sometimes we have so many functions going on, they put pasta, rice, and potatoes all across the table. You'll have about 2 or 3 meat dishes as well, sometimes. So lunchtime come, you're going to say, I can have everything. You know, you pasta, rice, everything. You'll have everything on the table. And you're going to eat all of that during the day. You know? Eat all of that during the day. This is what I'll do. And after work as well, you get home, your wife's cooking for you, your partner's cooking for you, you're going to eat the same things as well. All the pasta, rice, potatoes, we can't get away from it. There's people on a day-to-day basis, they eat rice every day, yeah? Especially white rice every day, because that's what they're used to, yeah? I met a gentleman who was diabetic, an Asian gentleman, yeah? And he said to me, I'm not going to give up my rice every day, because that's my staple diet. But he didn't know that in a bowl of rice, there's at least 10 teaspoons of sugar in there, white sugar in there. And he didn't want to change to become non-diabetic, yeah, to reverse that. So this is the mindset that people have, you know, because they're in a habit for such a long time. It is so hard to change that. It's so hard to get away from it. And don't get me wrong, I was one of the people. I was one of those people. But you know, the thing about it, after a period of time, you don't realize that you can change until you start to change. And then when you start to change, you realize this is easier than I think. This is easier than I think. I made a rice dish yesterday for my cooking sessions with basmati rice, which is a healthier, low glycemic rice. Yeah, but I hadn't eaten rice for about a week, 2 weeks before that period. I haven't had potatoes for about a week, 2 weeks before that period. And the thing about it, it's not even conscious. It's just that I don't do it like I used to. My desire for that is not there like it used to be. But I still feel good. I feel healthy. You know, I have my blueberries on a regular basis. I have my bananas. I do my lemon drink, my lemon with my ginger, my garlic. Do you know what I'm saying? My lime as well. And those are refreshing things that I do in the morning. You know, I made a mix yesterday. Like, sometimes I like to cook like my mother. I can't cook like my mother, even though I'm a chef, you know, but I try to. So yesterday I wanted to make some callaloo, you know, callaloo with peppers and onions, you know, and well, I didn't do it with, my mum used to do it with saltfish, but I didn't do it with saltfish because I'm cutting down on the salt, yeah? But you could do it with other fish. But the thing about it, all the years we eating saltfish, like saltfish fritters and all that, boy, saltfish fritters, man. You know, because we have to cut down on the salts now, you know, you think twice about it. So you're trying to replace the saltfish with something else. But I tell you, I'll be honest with you, it's not the same. It's not the same. So I'm cooking this cabbage, callaloo, spinach thing yesterday. I'm eating it. It tastes nice because I've done it nice, but it just wasn't like my mum's because the saltfish wasn't in there. You know, so the only time I think I'm gonna have a bit of saltfish now, because I know my body's detoxed and cleansed out. Yeah, okay. So when I go to my mum's and my mum doing it now, a bit saltfish and whatever, you know, I'm gonna eat it. I said, Mum, geez, that nice, you know. And there's nothing better than sitting across the table from my mum and just giving her a high five and say, Mum, I enjoyed that. You know, once upon a time, I'll be having my rice and peas, yeah, okay. Not once a week, but maybe for 2-3 times a week. Yeah, okay. There's days when I'll come home, I'll go to the Caribbean takeaway, yeah, support the community. I don't do the other one anymore. Yeah, so I'll go to my Caribbean takeaway to support Claudette, you know, and I go there and I buy my rice and peas, my goats, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's my reward. But I try and go there not on a regular basis, but I try and go there often, either to get something for my daughter or for myself or something small. Even if I go in there sometimes just buy a patty, yeah, to support them. You know, even that, you know, and that's what I like to do, you know. So even little things that we're doing, we've got to look at what we're doing consciously on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, you know, and look after ourselves. So my journey to becoming type 2 diabetes is the day, yeah, is the day when I had my normal 3 slices of toast, yeah. Back before, when I wasn't as healthy, I was having 3 slices of hard-dough bread, yeah, with butter on it. Just visualize it and taste it. Some of you out there, you eat hard-dough bread like it's like nothing. It's like everyday thing to you, yeah. Good luck to you, yeah. The only reason why you eat hard-dough bread every day, I'm not saying you mustn't eat hard-dough bread, is because it's sweet. Because it's sweet, yeah. My mother said to me, Lyndon, a few weeks ago, you know something? Me dying for a piece of hard-dough bread, you know? And she said, Lyndon, you know, I could do it on bun. You know, because my mom's still disciplined. She don't eat these things all the time, but she love her hard food. So I thought to myself, I'll buy my mom a hard-dough bread, you know, because she said she wanted. So I'm gonna go down there, and you know, I'll be honest with you, boy, when I was at my mom's house, you know, she cut the hard-dough bread, she put the butter on, and she called, Linda, come down for your breakfast. Come down. Got down to breakfast. On the table was 2 fried egg, plantain, and some mackerel. She put some mackerel, some fish, tomato sauce there, and the hard-dough bread. And I said to myself, geez, You know, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm so glad that I've been so disciplined, yeah, that I can eat it without thinking about, is it going to harm me or do anything to me that day? Do you know what I'm saying? So mum could sit down, but I have my herbal drink, and me and my mum would sit down, we're eating the hard old bread, and I look at my mum and say, yeah, nice, isn't it? She goes, yeah. She said, thank you, son, thank you. You know, thank you, son. You know, that's what my mum said to me. I love my mum, you know? And then the thing about it, that's quality time and quality moments that sometimes you have to put aside your thoughts about you're not eating the right things. But if you're eating these things every day and it's like, oh, it's normal, you know, have these things that's detrimental to your health as a reward. As a reward. You know, as a reward. Even when I'm at listen, I'm sorry to keep going on about my mum, yeah, because my journey to type 2 diabetes, yeah, I go to my mum, yeah. At home, I eat a small plate. I have a small plate. My mum, she still give me the big plate. You know, mum said, give me the big plate. You know, with the boiled plantain on there, the breadfruit, the hot dog, the dumpling, the yam, you know, and the not even a curry, the stewed chicken. Oh man, my journey to type 2 diabetes, I'm telling you, you know. But you know something? I stopped overeating. I stopped filling my belly till it can't fill no more. But the only time that I ever do it now is when I go to my mum's. The only time I do that now is when I go to my mum's. Yeah, especially at Christmas time. Yeah, or on a birthday, and she cooks something. That's the time when I really reward myself. You know, so I'm going to explain to you one thing about my journey. It's going towards type 2 diabetes, yeah? Like I was saying, 3 slices of sourdough bread in the morning I used to have. Put the butter on there. Then I put jam on it. Yeah, I put jam on it. And I eat it. And I look and I said, boy, that don't taste, not enough jam on it. So I put some more jam on it. And I taste it again. Yeah, that's better. And then I'll have a coffee. I'll have a latte coffee. You know the sachet ones that's processed? Yeah. And it's got powdered milk in it as well, and it's got sugar in it as well. I'd have one of them, yeah? And on top of that, I put 3 to 4 teaspoons of demerara sugar in it, brown sugar in it, yeah? Why brown sugar? Brown sugar is supposed to be healthier for you. Who tell you that, yeah? Everyone said, have brown sugar, much healthier. But brown sugar is just coating of white sugar, yeah? It's just coating of white sugar. And then on top of that, I put honey in it, yeah? Honey in it. The honey was to help me prevent my hay fever. And this was my breakfast on my way to work. When I got to work, I'll be cutting cakes. Yeah? I'll be cutting the cakes. I'll be cutting the trimmings off the cakes, putting them in a bowl and eating them. Yeah? But the thing about it, we had so many different cakes to cut. There's about 10 different types of cakes we were cutting that morning. Yeah? So you want to taste each one to see what they will taste like. But the worst thing about it, and the good thing about it, they all taste nice. Every single one of them, every single bite of them cakes were nice. That's why you had an addiction to it. And the mind plays games with you. You say, that's my last one. I'm not having no more. I just have another one. No. So you go back for it again. You know, and this is what happened. Yeah. So after I'm having my cake in the morning, yeah, lunchtime come. And like I explained to you before, the environment that we were working in, sometimes they would overfeed you on the table with so much different foods, pasta, rice, potato. Then you'd have all of that. After lunchtime come, you're going to go and have your afternoon tea break, yeah. And your afternoon tea, you can't have a cup of tea without a biscuit or cake, can you? Who does that? Who does that? Nobody does that. So you can have your tea, you can have your cake, and so I'm still eating my cake. This is the afternoon, yeah. When I finish work, yeah. Because I always say this, I don't live in London. My journey, if I finish work at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it's going to take about 2 hours to get home, yeah. On the days that the roads are busy, it takes 2 hours easy. So I'd always go to the shop and get a free meal deal for my journey home, yeah. I just think I've been eating all day already, yeah. But still, I still think I need to eat because it's a 2 hour journey in my car. So I'll go and get a free meal deal. bacon, lettuce, tomato sandwich, BLT sandwich. That was my addiction for my car journey home. And also granary bread as well. Yeah, it's going to be with a drink, yeah, which was normally a fizzy drink. And also it's going to be with a chocolate bar or a pack of crisps. Yeah, that was my journey home. Yeah, but the thing about it, on my journey home sometimes, I could hear a noise in my boots. Yeah, I could hear ching, 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 ching. And I stopped the car and look in the boots. I thought to myself, geez, I forgot about that. My J2Os in the car. I had cases of J2Os in there. And they were making noise, ting, ting, when they were banging each other. And the reason why I had J2Os in my car, because I had an addiction to them. Because I used to go out to the pubs and clubs with my friend, but I was never a drinker. So I'd always have J2O. I'd always have a soft drink. I used to be the mango and orange one, yeah, or the passion fruit. You know, and then one day I tasted the cherry one. And the cherry one was so nice because I've never had that one before. So when I didn't have that one, it's like a new exciting drink for my body, my system. So my body was saying, yeah, J2O. So the reason why I had cases of it, I used to go to cash and carry. Yeah, cash and carry. When you go to cash and carry, this is how they brainwash you so much. You walk into the big shop and right in front of you, the big sign with big letters, you know, J2O case, yeah, for £5.50. I was buying a bottle for £2.50 in a shop. So a case of 9 J2Os compared to one bottle of 250, well, do the maths, guys. Yeah. I used to take the bottles when I'm going out with my friend, I put a couple in my pocket or whatever, going to the pub, the club, whatever, and drink my own J2O. I'm not going to pay $2.50 for when I got it at my own price. You're mad. Yeah. So this is what I used to do. But just check this out. I'll get a bottle of J2O, open it in the boot of the car, and I drink one there and then. Don't ask me why, but this is what I was doing. I just drink it there and then. And then I'll take another bottle out and put in the car with me for my journey home. Yeah. So don't forget, in my car, I got my 3-meal deal already with a drink, and I'll give myself another drink. And the thing about it, would you believe it? By the time I got home, all that would be finished. That would be finished by the time I got home. Yeah. So when I got home now, in my situation, my wife might have cooked, or there might be some food around, and she said, Lyndon, your dinner's ready. Yeah. Just as I get in, or, oh boy, eating again. You know? So I'm going to say, listen, if somebody comes home and you've been cooking all day, yeah, just think Auntie Jean, you've been cooking, you come home and you cook something nice, and they say, listen, I'm not hungry now, I've been eating. You're going to say, is that something wrong with my food? Is it poison? You know, what's wrong with my food? You're going to be asking the question. So not to insult your food or your capabilities of cooking a nice dish, you're going to say, yes, I don't mind having something to eat. So what you're going to do, Auntie Jean, you're going to give them a nice big plate, innit, of your food. You're not going to give a small plate. You love my food? Yeah, fill up the plate. Yeah? So this is what you're going to do. So I'm saying to you, yeah, okay, you're going to sit down and have a meal. It's going to be pasta, rice, potatoes. But in my case, on my table was my ginger beer and my mango juice. Think, ginger beer and mango juice, my addiction. Yeah, to eat with my pasta, rice, my potatoes on there. And I'm not even going to forget about my coleslaw. Cheese! Yeah?
So,
how many of you have...
Lyndon?
Yes.
Maybe to wrap up.
Wrap up. No problem at all. I'm there.
Questions.
No problem at all. No problem at all. But I'm just explaining to you, yeah, this is what my day-to-day drinking was like, my food was like, yeah. And after I've had my meal with that my wife prepared for me, yeah, I'll go to sleep on the sofa, making out and watching TV, yeah. And then when she wakes me up to go to bed, what I would do, I would go make a cup of tea, look in the cupboard, see the biscuits, and start eating biscuits. Yeah. So this is an example of what I know a lot of you are doing right now. And the reason why I know you're doing it, because I've done it. Yeah. So that's my journey towards becoming type 2 diabetes. That's my journey, you know, but there's so much more to it than that. Yeah. So if there's anybody got any questions regarding what I do now or what I recommend you to do, yeah, remember one thing, I'm not a medical person. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor, nothing like that. And what I've done in 105 days when I reversed my type 2 diabetes without medication, it's all naively I've done it. It wasn't structured. I wasn't thinking about it specifically. I just got on with it and done it. Because the number one thing I had to do was to cut out the carbohydrates, the pasta, rice and potatoes, and all the fizzy drink. And that was the toughest part of my journey of beginning. It was a mental side of it. Do I take medication? Do I not take medication? Do I take medication? Do I not take medication? So I'm just I'm very thankful that I had my cousin Ken, who told me about the side effects of medication. Yeah, so therefore I didn't take it. They gave me 3 weeks to reverse my type 2 diabetes. Within 3 weeks, I reversed it. Yeah, another 28 days, I reversed it again. In a total of 105 days, I was in remission, cured, controlled, reversed, whatever the terminology they want to use, but it was done. So, Royston, that's me done. Yeah, if anybody wants to put up any questions at all, I'm here to answer them. For about another 10 minutes or so, I'll be around. So unfortunately, I've got another meeting at 9 o'clock. Yeah, so I want to say thank you guys for having me on again. I do appreciate, and I don't take this lightly, but do not take it lightly what I've said to you about the intake of your foods. It is so important, so important.
Thank you very much. I mean, I know that your, as I said, motivation for changing your diet was your illness. How would you get people to find some motivation to change their diet? I mean, how would you instill discipline? How can you instill discipline in yourself?
Okay. One of the questions I would ask people out there, what's the motivation? What are the consequences of you being ill, sick all the time, not feeling good all the time? Yeah, what are the consequences? Every 22 seconds, somebody loses a lower limb. Yeah, through diabetes. Just think, every 22 seconds, somebody loses a lower limb, a toe, a feet. Yeah, okay. Every 6 seconds, somebody dies of diabetes. Yeah. If you're self-employed like myself, if you don't work, you don't earn. Simple facts. Yeah. You work, you don't earn. It's like lockdown now. A lot of people ain't earning nothing. So just think if that carries on for the rest of your life. Yeah. So you got to put yourself in a position with, if I don't do something now, what is it going to lead to? Heart attack, liver disease, kidney disease. Yeah. It adds up to more and more things if you don't do something about it now. This is my motivation of not working. Because don't forget, when you're working like me, I was on a good wage, working every day. You know, some people were envy of me because I was earning more money than them, and they were full time because I put the hours in. It didn't make any difference to me. I put the hours in. Yeah. So what I'm saying to myself, if I lose this, what's going to happen to me? You know. So the motivation for anybody out there, what are the consequences of you not being able to perform?
You talked about the rice and the potato, which are very much a staple part of our diet.
Yes.
And I probably say in some instances it's as far as our pocket can reach in terms of, you know, eating consistently.
Yes.
What are the alternatives that that we can eat and be healthy with?
Okay, the alternative number one is practice intermittently fasting, not eating all the time. Yeah, don't eat all the time because you don't need to. We think we do, have to eat 3 meals a day, but who says you have to eat 3, 4, 5 meals a day? Okay, the alternative, you got pasta, rice, potatoes, okay, and your drinks, yeah? Have pasta today, no rice today. Have rice tomorrow, no pasta tomorrow. Have your potatoes on another day. Try not to have them all at the same day. And number two, yeah, have them in smaller portions, moderate portions as well. If you want to snack, have something like blueberries to snack, any berries, dark berries to snack on. If you like avocado, you can snack on avocado. Cut it up, put some lemon with it, put some onion with it. Not onion, I mean onion with it, red onion, yeah? There's foods called flavonoid foods. Focus on flavonoid foods as well. And practice drinking plenty of water as well. If you're hungry in the morning, what do you normally do? You have your breakfast or you have a coffee. I know some people, they get up, they have a coffee, no problem. Yeah? Get up in the morning and have something like water instead or lemon water instead. Well done, Royston. Good man.
Sorry,
That's me.
that wasn't an advert. Sorry.
But it was well timed, you know. So this is my bottle. Yeah, I got 250 ml bottle here. Yeah, okay, 250 ml bottle. I make up about 4 or 5 of these bottles. Yeah, on a regular basis. If you go onto my YouTube channel or my website, you see some drinks that I've been doing. Yeah, with the spirulina, the okra, the bitter gourds. Yeah, and these things you need to drink on a regular basis. And if you're in a position where we're eating cheap foods every day, like the pasta, rice, the potatoes, and have it in moderation. You still feel full and be more active mentally rather than sitting down watching TV, sitting down doing nothing. Find something active. Find communication with people in your household as well. I talk to my daughter so much now. You know, we've bonded so much now. I can ask her to do something for me now, and it's not, oh, I ain't got time for this, I ain't got time for that. But she makes time. You gather a bondage within your household, you know. So I understand. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying about the foods, you know, we got a staple diet of pasta, rice, potatoes every day, but try and break it down, yeah, and have it in smaller moderations. And you got to feel your body, how you feel at certain times. You got to feel your body at certain times. Also, like cutting down on meat, red meat as well. Don't forget, red meat stays in the system for a very long time. Your tubes are blocked up. That's why sometimes you wake up, you've had 8 hours sleep, you wake up and you still feel tired. After you wake up in the morning, you're supposed to be energized and say, yeah, ready to go. Get things done. I woke up late today. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Yeah, that's late. You know?
If there are no other questions, so, you know, I can think of 3 people in the last 3 days that I've said, drink water. Oh, I don't like the taste of water. I don't like drinking water.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's within our community.
Okay, so my question to those people,
and then,
what fruits do they like, number one? Yeah. And what they need to do is make a list of foods that they like. Yeah, this is very important. Make a list of all the fruits that they like. Yeah, and they add that to the water. Like, for example, like fresh mint. You can put fresh mint into water, infuse it. You can put cucumber into water, infuse it. Celery in water, infuse it. You can take blueberries, blitz that down, put it in your water and drink it. You know, you can put a bit of honey in there as well to make it sweeter. You know, there's things you can do with water. Water don't have to be just plain water. You can infuse it with something. This is what I'm saying to a lot of people. Infuse your water and find, the most important thing is make a list of the foods that you like on a regular basis so that every time you have that water, you're going to enjoy it.
All right, thank you. Sister J Africa.
Yeah, greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
I really enjoying your journey. Sounded way too familiar for me. I mean, everybody knew me falling asleep on their settee as soon as I get a break. There's 2 things you said was brown sugar is just, what did you say brown sugar was?
Some brown sugar is just white. It's just white sugar coated because they use brown sugar to color like cakes to make toffee sauce and stuff like that. They use brown sugar for coloring sometimes to make like
so there's no
cake.
difference. So there's no difference in buying either sugar.
No, not really. No.
Oh, so I've been ripped off.
No.
Okay. And the other thing is,
it's like with the demerara sugar. If you look at demerara sugar, it's just like white sugar. Yeah. There's probably like these other sugars like Muscovy sugar, which is more denser sugar, but it's still sugar though. You know, the only thing that you could try is like jaggery. Jaggery is unrefined sugar from the jaggery tree. Yeah, or they call it sugar vida. That's another name for it. Yeah, or there's another sugar that comes from vegetables like pears, which is erythritol. Erythritol. That's a natural sugar as well.
What about coconut sugar?
Yeah, coconut sugar is okay. Yeah, coconut sugar because don't get it's just refined. It's just refined down. Okay. Well, coconut sugar has been processed anyway.
So how did you cope with the highs and lows? Because the first thing I find if I get stressed or anything, I revert to type. And this is the problem I'm having of getting away from, 1, taking myself off the tablets, and 2, having the courage to not return to something sweet when I'm stressed, and I'm often stressed.
Yeah, the only reason why you return to something when you're stressed and sweet, because you're used to it. It's just a mindset. It's just
so
a
as
mindset.
Royston said,
It's all in the mind. What you need to do is find either a vegetable, yeah, like pears, anything, greens, watermelon, any nuts, like monkey nuts as well, yeah. If you like anything like those, have some of those instead, you know. And if you do feel stressed, I'm not going to ask you a personal question, but whatever makes you stressed, yeah, think about it. Is somebody making you stressed, or you're stressing yourself? Yeah, are you reflecting on something that's making you stressed? Because if you got stress that you can control, that's one thing. Yeah, if you're stressed that you can't control, that's another thing.
Okay, yeah? I'll have to talk to Royston on that one.
That is very, very important. Because don't get me wrong, if somebody said, geez, I don't like you, I don't like the dress you're wearing, look at your ugly shoes, and you get, oh, why you get stressed about it? Oh, don't worry about it, I like it, let it go.
Okay. It's just the reverting back to type and finding new habits.
Yeah.
Has suggested this already.
Trust me, you can do it.
Okay, thank you.
No, type 2, diabetes is not a life sentence. It's an opportunity. It's only what you put in your mouth.
But
it's temporary. It's temporary.
But every time I'm talking to people, they keep telling me you're hardly going to get rid of the type 2 diabetes. So keep on with the tablet. So it's a scary place.
So if you're type 2, if they tell you that, ask them, why can't I get rid of it? If it's only food that you put in your system. Ask them, who do you know that's come off of medication and they're okay? Yeah, I have a cousin with type 1. He was on insulin. He's come off insulin and he's okay. Do you get me?
Okay, so I'll have to.
And he's supposed to. If he comes off insulin, you're supposed to die. Yeah, because you've got no insulin in your body. Yeah, he's done it himself over 19 months. He went on a specific diet. Yeah.
Okay. I'll get the chocolates to stop attacking me then. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, or just follow me or DM me, whatever. Yeah. Okay. No problem. This is what I'm saying to you. Don't let people mess your head up with type 2 diabetes. Yeah. When they tell you can't do it, they're stressing you. Yeah. All you could do is focus on a short period of time. Yeah. In your lifetime. Yeah. You've got this far already. Just take another 3-4 months or 6 months out of your life. If you want to live another few more years, to think about the things I need to change now. Yeah. Gradually, don't get me wrong, gradually, so you get used to certain things, bit by bit, day by day, and you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. Have faith.
Can I ask one more question then?
Yeah, please do.
And I think also,
Last
just
question.
quickly, we have to really stop telling everybody, boy, I like your size, because it gets you to a place where you get too comfortable.
Okay, so let me put it. I don't mean to cut you. Let me simplify for you. Your size may be your size. Yeah? You can be your size, but healthy size. I did a discussion with somebody else the other day. They've tried everything to lose weight. Yeah, they're not able to do it. But I've met friends who's a big size. They lost a lot of weight. Yeah, through going special diets for like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. Yeah, and then they after that they go back to eating normal, Everything comes back on. If your metabolism is not supposed to be small, petite, and you're eating normally and you go back to normal, that's how you're supposed to be. But you can still be 100% healthy. Size don't make you unhealthy. Yeah, if you're big and you still look at some athletes, they're massive, but internally they're healthy.
Yeah, I'm not finding that a lot of the time. Okay, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because you know what you're eating.
Yeah. Okay.
So once you're winning already, because you know what you need to do. That's so easy for you. You're on a winning journey already. Okay, you're on a winning journey already. I'm telling you, because I know people who's been there, and I've been there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Lyndon. And
it's a pleasure.
Time for you to meet your other appointment. But thank you.
I got 9 minutes with you guys. You know what I'm saying? I got time. You know what I'm saying? I'll give them to the last minute with you guys. Seriously, because this is so important. Lady just been on now. This is what I'm saying to you guys. Don't let people mess with your head. Especially, I don't want to go there with other people. but it's other people that's trying to mess with us, you know?
Thanks,
You know?
Lyndon. Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
That's your book.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the book, The Inspired Diabetic. Thank you.
Your book, for those who don't know. Where can we find your book?
Oh, The Inspired Diabetic, my website. And other places, yeah, definitely.
All right.
Details in.
Thank you very much.
Put your details in before you go.
Okay. So before we have a break, Sister Dr. Sandra Richards is going to introduce something to us. Are you muted?
No, I'm unmuted. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Greetings.
First of all, I've just got to. First of all, you know, it's good to be with everyone again. This is a good way to spend a Friday night. But I want to also say thank you to Galactic, Clyde, and to the Inspired Diabetic, because at one point I turned my screen off, because my camera off, because I was enjoying it so very much. I was grinning all over my face and thought, actually, let me just take my face off of the screen, because these conversations are so important. I mean, when Galactic Clyde spoke about these systems, and he was doing all the explanations, and Brother King was following the chart, I was like, this is complex in the beginning, but then as Galactic Clyde began to explain it, it was becoming clearer, these systems that we don't know about. And if we don't talk to each other, we won't know about this stuff. And then when Lyndon was the Inspired Diabetic was speaking, and I was like, okay, the food, you know, and checking the bin, and these kinds of stuff that we do in the privacy of our own homes as we're trying to understand our journeys, and so on and so forth. And I think it segues very nicely into this sitting under the mango tree idea. It's quite clear to me and to many other people that over the past few weeks and months and years, in fact, we've been bombarded with all kinds of stuff. If it's not being called BAME, we're being called Windrush. If we're not being called Windrush, we're being called red, yellow. Our parents used to call us this. We came over, we expected that. You know, there's so much conversations that we need to have for our own well-being. And a generation before, the big people that were, before we became big people, used to have these conversations. And sometimes we would be told, you know, be quiet because big people are talking. And we would listen to some of the things, and we would learn some of the things. And we would, you know, my father used to speak in parables in a way, you know that kind of talk, you never know so-and-so until the well run dry, all them kind of things where when you're young, you're like, what are you actually talking about? Why don't you speak to me in plain English? Or we will reminisce. When we remember to remember, we'll reminisce about things like, you remember when you used to go to the dance? And you remember when you used to have to be in by a certain time? And you remember how you used to throw a pebble at the window and somebody used to let you in, or you'd go up the stairs and you know where the stair squeaks, and so you would avoid that. Or all them kind of things that you used to get up to, or things that your mother used to say, or your granny used to say, or all those things. Basically, that conversation, the conversation that we really need to have. And a lot of us are zoomed out. I mean, the work that I do at the university, there's Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom, like I'm dizzy with the Zoom meeting, and everybody in the room is not talking. You know, it's the attention is at the front. So Brother King and I were having a conversation about the fact that we need to talk, and we need to talk about things that we don't usually talk about. And that includes a number of things. And Brother King, hopefully you'll jump in a minute and say some of what it is that we might be talking about. But there were themes that were coming through when Galactic Clyde was speaking and Inspired Diabetic was speaking. I mean, I thought about the washouts that many of us used to have. You know, like we would be given whatever it is that you're given. And it appears nice. And we really didn't understand what it was. And some of us thought we were adopted because of it. You know, this couldn't really be my mother and father. I mean, you know, or the thing that tastes so bitter, like Cersei or whatever, they would give you this thing and tell you it's for your own good. I mean, really? Now here it is, the inspired diabetic is eating jelly beans all the way to wherever he's going, and we're being given bitters. You know, what is the value of bitters? And why is it that certain people want to look at your urine or want to look at your excretion, but you don't want to look at it yourself? All kind of conversations we want to have. We even want to talk about sex. Imagine that. And so that whole addiction thing, that whole relationship thing, that whole abstinence thing is, I think, immersed in some of what we were hearing today. And there are people already doing some things. I know Sista Nkechi, there's a group of them doing something called planking. I think it's called planking. It's from the discipline of yoga and breathing and stretching and some of those other things. So we thought it would be nice to come together under a mango tree. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that you could just come together and chat like we used to chat. Only now we're the big people, you know? Only now we can have the conversation and we can bring alive those conversations for our own well-being. Brother King, do you want to jump in and say some of the things that we discussed that we would talk about?
Feels I'm interrupting your flow. You're doing great.
My flow's been interrupted before.
Talk about life and what were the challenges? What are some of the bumps that we came up against? How did those bumps come? How did we overcome those bumps? What does joy look like? What does happiness look like? What does love look like? You know, and have we experienced it, or we're still waiting for it? You know, did we miss it? And we regret that we miss it. And if we think we've missed it, do we go looking for it again? You know, looking for a carbon copy of what it was before, or do we look in a different place for it? You know, the poetry, the art, the music, the flair, the dancing. We talk about the wallpaper, like the room have to redecorate after the blues dance because everybody rub off the wallpaper, you know, and you know, what happened there. And so there's so much more for us to talk about that would enrich us and remind us of who we are, our value, our worth, our significance, particularly at these times. And Galactic was warning us of the things to come, you know, and being certain of who we are and being able to put an anchor in the ground that says, this is me, this is my experience, this is my journey, and this has kept me, is an important thing to be able to do at this time, you know, because, you know, what is going on as the kickback around George Floyd from those that don't look like us, we need to be grounded around, and we need to be certain around, and we need to work out how we come together collectively. So we've got things like forgiveness, and what does that look like? You know, and who deserves forgiveness, and how do we get that forgiveness, and how do we give forgiveness? You know, because it is said that when we don't forgive, we're actually making our own body unwell. Sister Doctor.
I give thanks. So, you know, I already mentioned that there are some good things that are happening already. You know, I did mention Sister Nkechi, but there are many of us who are in these discussions are doing many things, and I think that we should bring it. I also think it's good to laugh, and I don't know that we're doing enough of that laughing thing. Like, we really need to laugh, because it's not funny, but you have to laugh, because that's part of the healing. You know, that's part of the internal massaging that needs to happen. And so basically, we're just inviting you to come and sit on the first and third Saturday of every month under the mango tree. You know, bring a drink, you know what I mean? Preferably a mango drink, or as our brother has just said, Lyndon, bring some water and bring it in a long stemmed glass. You know what I mean? Like, feel good about drinking water. Even if it's not flavored, water has its own flavor, you know. What we need to do is cultivate our tongue. So let us cultivate our tongue. Let us laugh, or let us cry if we want to. Let us find out who each other are. Because some of us have street name. And you know, you meet the body, them have the street name, but you really don't know who they are until the eulogy. You know? So it's time for us to come together. And in this coming together, we are also supporting the Garvey Village social enterprise. We want to raise money for spaces that we can be in ourselves without someone who doesn't look like us coming and jingling their keys and telling us we have to come out, or someone who does look like us, but should have a little job, then feel so they can just turn big shot and throw us out in the middle of our flow. So we're really fundraising, but we're also doing what African people do, which is that we come together and we talk to one another. The Zoom yard, which is where we will meet, you will get entrance to the Zoom yard by emailing Brother King Royston. If you email him, you will get a very nice email back. I know because I've seen it. You will be taken care of. We invite you to invite other people, you know. We really want to see reflections of ourselves in the yard. You understand? I don't want to speak in parables or in code, but we want to see reflections of ourselves in the yard. Otherwise, yeah. So the first one is tomorrow evening, and the flyer is on the screen. And if you would like the flyer sent to you again, I'm sure that Brother King can make that happen. But let's get together and let's chat about things we don't usually chat about, and play to music too.
Yes.
Give thanks.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Yes. Good cause, good purpose. So we're going to take a 7-minute break. And why do I know it's 7 minutes? Because that's how long this takes to play. All right. So we'll have a 7-minute break.
Who were the Olmecs? The Olmecs were the earliest people in the Americas. They were people of the Negrite African race who entered the Americas perhaps as early as 100,000 years ago by way of the Bering Strait, and then about 30,000 years ago in a worldwide maritime undertaking that included journeys from the then wet and lake-filled Sahara towards the Indian Ocean and from West Africa across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. According to the Gladwin thesis, this journey occurred in strength about 75,000 years ago and included many black pygmies, black Negrite peoples, and black Australoids, similar to the Aboriginal black people of Australia and parts of Asia, including India. Dr. Daguerre, the director of genetic program at the National Commission of Nuclear Energy Mexico, identified the malaria-resistant mutant gene that produces sickle cell in the blood of the Cadones Indians, one of the oldest and most secluded tribes in Mexico. This tribe of Mayan stock have not been known to mix with any outsiders, yet they possess a gene that is usually the blood of black Africans. Recent research suggests that the Olmec in the farming cultures of Tabasco, which began around 51 BCE to 4600 BCE, these shared the same basic food crops and the technologies of the later Olmec civilization. The Olmec culture is thought to have ended around 400 BCE. Now, these Olmec people inhabited southern Mexico and are regarded as the mother culture of the Americas. That is to say that later Amerindian cultures and technology of the Americas descend from Olmec culture and technologies. Discoveries in the field of linguistics and other methods have shown without doubt that the ancient Olmecs of Mexico, also known as the Zai people, were originally from West Africa and were of the Mende African ethnic stock. According to Clyde A. Winters and other writers, script was discovered on some of the ancient Olmec monuments of Mexico and were found to be identical to the very same script used by the Mende people of West Africa. In addition, there has been findings of native African cotton being discovered in North America. Its only possible manner of arriving there has been found to be through the hands of humans. From the archaeological evidence gathered both in West Africa and Mesoamerica, there is reason to believe that the African Negrites who founded or influenced the Olmec civilization came definitively from West Africa. Not only do the colossal Olmec stone heads resemble black Africans from the Ghana area, but the ancient religious practices of the Olmec priests were similar in many ways to that of the West Africans, which included shamanism, which was part of the traditions of the Olmecs, as well as the Ono and Dogon tribe of West Africa. The language connection is of significant importance, since it has been found that the ancient Olmecs spoke the Mende language and wrote in Mende script, which is still used in parts of West Africa and the Sahara today. Now, the name Olmec means rubber people in the Aztec language. It was the Aztec name for people who once lived in the area and text from rubber trees. Appearing around 1600 BCE, the Olmecs were the first Mesoamerican complex societies, and their culture influenced many later civilizations like the Maya, for instance. The Olmec are also known for the immense stone heads that they call from a volcanic rock called basalt. Archaeological evidence also suggests that they may have originated the Mesoamerican practice of ritual bloodletting. There are no written records of Olmec commerce, beliefs, or customs, but from the archaeological evidence, it appears that they were not economically confined. In fact, Olmec artifacts have been found across Mesoamerica, indicating that there was extensive interregional trade routes. The presence of artifacts such as jade, obsidian, and other stones prove evidence for trade with people outside the Gulf Coast of Mexico. The jade came from what is today the Mexico state of Oaxaca and the country of Guatemala in the south, and the obsidian came from the Mexican highlands to the north. The Olmec period saw a significant increase in the length of trade routes, the variety of goods, and the sources of traded items. Now, the Olmec lands were about 125 miles long and about 50 miles wide. Their major sites included San Lorenzo and La Ventana. La Ventana is dated between 1200 BCE to about 400 BCE, places the major development of the city in the Middle Formation period. So we can't talk about the Olmec or talk about Olmec culture without talking about the colossal monument heads that were found in and throughout Mesoamerica in what was called the Olmec land. Now, what we have discovered throughout the years has been 17 monumental stone representations of humans that are carved from these massive basalt stones. These heads date back as far back as 900 BCE, and they are distinctly Olmec features. So the features also tie into the beliefs of their African origins. Whether these were truly gods or these were representations of leaders, we may never know. We don't understand if these were set out to be worshipped or to be warning signs. But that is the most compelling and most known part of the Olmecs, and like many other civilizations or other ancient civilizations around that time, were also pyramid builders. So not only were they linguistically connected to Western African culture, we also see the same type of pyramid building knowledge that we see evident in ancient Kemet, Nubia, Kush, and of course throughout Asia. And this is the first representation that we see in the Americas. We know that the Olmecs also worshiped the sun, and they built monuments to please the sun's greatness. Whatever we say about the Olmecs, we know that they were one of the earliest civilizations. They were very similar to older African civilizations in many ways, including their written language and spoken languages, religious practices, sun worship, and of course, pyramid building. The imprint that they left on the world is lasting, and more study into their culture unto itself and also their connection to ancient African civilization will reveal the migrations of humans as well as the development of civilizations and technologies around the globe.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, and we're back. And I hope you managed to get your water if you didn't have any water. And also have a water break. Okay, we're going to move on to our next presentation. And as before, make sure that you have your pen and your paper. Sorry?
Do we want to make an announcement?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Right.
just make an announcement about the property that us as the Garvey Village members was actually going for. Unfortunately, it's gone on to some other hands, and so that leaves us looking for a building to house the Garvey Village. So we are looking for, and we are asking for help as well, if you can help to look for empty properties that is around, preferably in the Catford area, and but it's mainly in the borough of Lewisham. So we're looking somewhere to house the Garvey Village that can house all the activities that the Garvey Village is actually put out for, which is a base for natural healers, base for homeschooling, Saturday school, training programs for children. So we're looking for a base that's actually large enough to accommodate all. So if anybody's got any ideas or suggestions, please get in contact with us to let us know. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Royston?
No, just to say that, you know, the transition of time, you know, it's right in terms of the sequence of things that have been happening. And this is an opportunity for us to replan, rethink, and forge forward. So, you know, so to embrace this opportunity and look to move ourselves as a people forward with your help and with your support, we will arrive.
Okay.
Thank you.
And do you want to mention about the space hive, or should we move on?
Yeah, we move on.
Another time.
We'll come back to that another time.
Okay. All right. Thanks. You. As I said, we're still looking. We're still looking. So we're moving on to our next presentation. Make sure you've got your pens and your papers ready to write down your questions when they come up, and so that the presentation goes smoothly. So I see you, Sista Nkechi, just sort of like teaching there. Sista Nkechi is our next presentation, and she's going to be talking about understanding and clearing the 8 steps to manifesting abundance. So sorry if I sort of like cut that short on the actual flyer going out, but that was the whole title of the presentation. So apologies for those who sort of like just got half of it. So Sista Nkechi, the screen is now yours.
Thank you. Is it okay for me to have share screen facility, please? If I can. It's
Yes.
not absolutely essential, but I might well do so.
Okay.
Let me see if let's do this, because last time I didn't, so I thought I will do it this time. It's not the one I wanted. Hold on 1 second. Oh, it's disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay, I've got it now. Right, so I've got the presentation up. Let's see. I do this all the time when I'm teaching students, so it should be okay. Right, share screen. Right, can you see my screen now? Yes, so I'm just going to put it like that. Okay. Right, greetings everybody. Thank you. As I said earlier when I was asking Galactic a question, thank you Sister Auntie Jean, Royston for having me, and the Garvey Village. I feel really honoured to be here, really, because the work I do, I feel as if I've been a little bit quiet about it, a little bit, not shy, but just a bit reticent about bringing it to our community, because I feel as though, you know, when your own people are the kind of, I don't know, what can I say? When it's close to home, you're sometimes afraid to bring your knowledge, you know. But I've been told so many times, especially since last year from Spirit, that it's time for me. You know, I really do in this time. I didn't even know what we're going through now was going to happen, but I've been told since the beginning, since middle of last year, that I need to just be more vocal about what I do and share this information, and so that just people can work with it even from within themselves, and to start to work from a kind of higher kind of level of themselves, because we have it, and we have not been taught about it. There's nowhere in schools. We're not taught to work in from the higher regions of ourselves. That's the only way I can say it. In churches and the kind of conventional religions that some of us follow, we've not been taught to do that. We're more taught to externalize God and think God gives us the power, but we don't have any. And so this work I've been doing since 1995. You know, I've been working with many people, but it's just been quiet one-to-ones. Every now and again I get a chance to do a little talk, but now is the time, I think, in this time, with so many things happening, so many changes happening, things are so much clearer to everybody, and I've been directed to just make a bit more noise. So I approached Sister Auntie Jean, and luckily for me, or as you know, synchronicity and all that, she was open for me to come here. And I came a few weeks ago and did a kind of introduction to the whole thing. Today is kind of narrowing it down a bit to it, and one aspect as an example of the kind of things that what we as a people can work on. Okay. Before I go into that though, I just wanted to, well, no, actually I'll leave that. I was going to answer a few of the questions that people had. So somebody was asking about alternatives to things like, oh, it was roasting, it was you, alternatives to rice and potatoes. And I was one of the things I was saying, there are a few things like quinoa. I'm sure you've heard of that. Okay. Instead of having potatoes, sweet potatoes is somehow, which is our foods anyway, it's got a completely different consistency when it comes to sugar than say ordinary potatoes, which has so much starch. But one of the things I found, because I do nutrition as well as part of my work, but I'm not going to talk about that today, is that the best thing is not to think of what shall I use instead. The better thing is just to look at what you can eat and then make your meals from that, rather than sort of think, well, what can I have instead of a potato? What can I have instead of milk? What can I have instead of cornflakes? I've had that question so many times, like, don't have that, just have whatever it is you can have. There's no rules that you have to have a cereal for breakfast, but somehow we've been brainwashed into thinking you've got to have cereal for breakfast. And so now cereal doesn't even come into it from when I'm eating, but there's a whole pile of things that you can eat that you can just turn into a breakfast. That's all I'm going to say about that as a quick thing. And the sister that also mentioned about how to change the habits, the beautiful sister that said she has a bit of diabetes and stuff, and she's trying to change everything, and she resorts back. The best way to, and again, I'm not going to go into detail because that's not what today's talk about. Today's talk is about, but it is really to, before you do anything, even like when you're going to redecorate a house, the first thing you do is clear everything out. It's really hard to say, create a nice new, brand new house without getting rid of all the rubbish, getting rid of all the potholes and so on, and then sort of sorting out the foundation, and then you can decorate it. So fasting, cleansing and detoxing is the beginning, and then it's easier to do that. So if you want some support on that, that is something we can talk about another time. So yeah, so that's all I wanted to say about that. Oh, one other quick thing. Those of us that find like chocolate as a comfort, one of the things, I went to Jamaica a few years ago, and there was this elder brother, in fact, he's the brother I bought some land from there, an older man, but he was highly into health, and he really was an advocate to chocolate. And I was, at first I was like, what? And then I realized he meant pure chocolate, right? And I actually cured my near chocolate addiction just by instead of buying Mars, well, I never used to buy Mars bars, but instead of buying the kind of, I thought I was doing a bit better by eating green and blacks organics, but they do have, you can still get those, but have the ones that 85% or above chocolate, cocoa. Ideally, no milk in that chocolate, no, hardly any sugar. So the 90%, the 85% chocolate, when you eat those, they're so rich, you only want to take a little square. per day, or one little square per day, you're more than satisfied with that. And then if you dare try to eat a sweeter, more full of milk and sugar chocolate after that, you just don't want it. You just don't want it after you've had that rich. So, and also chocolate is one of those flavonoid foods that Mr. Lyndon was talking about earlier. The pure chocolate is actually very good for you. There's got a lot of good in that. So that's all I'm going to say. But that's the little bits of extras as a result of the talks we had a little bit earlier. Now, today's talk is about, I'm going to try and do it as quickly as I can, because it's deep and wide and it can go on forever. But I'm going to just try and bring it quickly. That's why I've got my PowerPoint, because it helped me keep me focused. So it's called Understanding and Clearing the 8 Steps to Manifesting Abundance. So I thought I would start off, well, before I go into that, I'll just kind of quickly outline. Can you see, have I covered up? Have I covered up that bit that tells you about what I do, or can you see it?
Can still see it.
You can see everything, okay, because on mine I can just see our faces, so it looks like I've covered it up, so I don't know. Okay, so this is a brief outline of my background. I'm one of those people that are very varied in what I do, but somehow to me all of these things link together. You know, it started off in my 20s as becoming a school teacher, and it was actually a qualified science teacher, but then I left mainstream teaching after 6 years of doing it, because it didn't take me very long to realize that the system wasn't really a place for me to spend too much of my time with. So I set out and opened out a center called the Accelerated Learning and Therapy Center. That was 1996, and I've been running it ever since. And it's an unusual center because it contains, I do private tuition for children in maths, English and science for primary and secondary school, but also it's a complementary health center. And sometimes the two overlap, sometimes they're kept separate. It all just depends on the need of the person that we're working, the people that we're working with. With the complementary therapies, I do reflexology, spiritual clearing and healing, which is what I'm really which I call Wissart energy clearing. And the work I'm talking about today is really based on that. I'm a clinical kinesiologist, and I do nutrition, and I'm a qualified yoga teacher in 2 schools, the British Wheel of Yoga, which I studied for 5 years, and then the Kemetic School of Yoga, which I did after that, and I did it on 2 occasions because I really wanted to embed it into what I did. The reason why I did the Kemetic yoga is because I was so in love with the yoga that I did. I was absolutely certain there must have been some African roots to this yoga, because it was just so me. And when I researched, that's when I came across the Kemetic yoga, and I thought, oh, okay, I see that I was right, you know. And then I do life coaching, and then more recently, in the last 6 years, I've become a DJ, which has been quite an amazing journey. And I actually use it for my healing, believe it or not, for healing people and myself. And I've also studied to a master's degree level in online and distance education. So that's kind of my background. I thought I would do a few definitions before I start, because the title was the title of this talk is Understanding and Clearing the 8 Steps to Manifesting Abundance. So I'll just quickly sort of make sure that we have an understanding of what some of those key words mean. Manifesting is basically to actually show that something happens. There's a product, or there's some evidence that something has happened. So usually you have a thought, an idea in your mind, and then through a series of steps, you know, there you go, I've done it, or what you have seen in your vision is there manifest. So there's some evidence that it has happened. The other word which has been covered up, so I can't see it. Let me see if I can find. Okay, there's abundance, and that's where there's plenty to go round of something, plenty of something to go round. And that's an important thing, because abundance is something that sometimes I think some of us feel deprived of. And abundance doesn't just mean, it can be the obvious thing, which is finances, money, or goods, but there's also abundance of love, there's abundance of joy, there's abundance of friendships, or or whatever. There's abundance could be all of it. So to me, that when I use the word abundance, there's also could be abundance of bad stuff, but when I use the word abundance, I always add abundance of good. So that means when the word, because the words that we speak are very, very important, and can kind of shape what we manifest, so to speak. And so I try to add words with my full intention behind it, so that I can actually manifest what I intend to manifest. Clearing is the one that I really need to explain, because clearing, when I looked in the dictionary, clearing was just simply a space that has been created in the woods or the forest for the purpose of whatever. It might be a party dance, or even to grow something different to the trees. But that's when I say clearing, it means the removal of things that are not required for progress and growth. That's what I mean when I'm talking about the clearing work that I do, and that people can do even for themselves. So I also want to go over very quickly, why this topic? Why am I doing this now? I actually, whenever I do something, if I'm asked to do something or feel I need to do something, even up to my radio shows, I do it twice a week. I always ask, what is the theme? So I kind of, same as how we speak to our ancestors, even before we did this meeting today, I asked for guidance from the Most High and the ancestors. What is it? What is this about? Because to me, everything we do needs to have a meaning and a purpose, and so that when we come into it, we come with that full intention, So I asked about this today. I knew I was going to do it from, I think, a few weeks ago, but it was yesterday, and I asked as late as yesterday, because sometimes things change, the energy and the vibration of what was going on at the time when my sister, Auntie Jean, and myself decided this was the day I was going to talk. Then was very different to what it is now. So I asked quite soon before the event, what is the real reason why I'm here? And because you find these things change. So I've written down what I got. Clearly from Spirit, it was to clear mine and others' anxiety with respect to fear of lethargy. And I thought, because again, once I get that, I have to then kind of try to make some sense of it. And then it came to me, well, the word lethargy means a lack of energy or enthusiasm. In the medical sense of things, it means a pathological state of sleepiness or deep unresponsiveness and inactivity. And I thought about us, and I thought about the things how we see ourselves as a people. Sometimes, like, we really want to get things done. We really want to make changes. We really want to grow. We really want to come out of some of the dire situations we find ourselves in. And yet, sometimes there's all sorts of difficulties and challenges towards that. Sometimes some of us are just too tired to do anything. So that's where the lethargy comes in. But the worst thing about it is, not only do we feel these blockages that stop us from progressing and manifesting, not only do we feel tired, that those, because some of us have been working a long time at it and maybe feel like we're not getting anywhere. The worst part about it is that actually there's a fear of feeling tired as well. And so when Spirit gave me that, I realized, boy, this is deep, right? And so I realized this topic actually does address that. And so why am I doing it? To clear, to stop, or prevent us now from feeling this fear of lethargy. Why? Because this topic gives us some steps to help us to understand, you know, why sometimes we feel unable to really achieve the things we set out to achieve. So here are the 8 steps. So what are they? Okay, so I'm just going to run through it quickly, but then I'm going to go back and give a little bit of an illustration so that you can see how it works in practice. So step number 1 is that there's an awareness. There's usually an awareness. I feel like standing up. I'm not used to sitting down talking. I'll sit down again. Right, okay. There's usually an awareness of a need. So if there's anything, things always start off, anything that we end up achieving starts off with an awareness of a need. Okay, so that's step number 1. Step number 2 is then from that awareness, then there's a desire to see that need met. That's step number 2. And then after that, there needs to be the faith that you can do what it takes to meet that need. You know, can we really do this? You know, I can do this thing, you know, I can do this thing. But then after the faith, you still have to be willing, which is step 4, you still have to be willing to do that. You've got to be willing to make changes. You've got to be willing to make decisions, to do certain things. That willingness needs to be there. And then you've got the setting of goals. Once you've made that decision and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do that. By doing that, you've actually set a goal. So the setting of goal is the 5th bit of the step. So sometimes we get to situations where we're trying to do things like, right, let's set some goals, but we haven't maybe even fully understood the awareness, the desire, the faith aspect of it, and the willingness before we set the goals. Once we've set the goals, then we then have to work on those goals, and then there's a series of things that will have to happen. Usually working on goals involves a whole load of different processes anyway. And then after you've worked on those goals and you've completed them, then a very important part, okay, is number 7, which is completion and rest. You have completed and honored that thing that you became aware of in the first place, and then you complete and rest. Step number 8 is actually then you become aware of a new need, and that cycle happens all over again. And this happens whether we're doing something as simple as trying to find a building for the Garvey Centre, for the Garvey Village, right through to I need to go to the cupboard. I've given an example here. Where is it now? Yeah, so I've given a really simple example so we can see it in practice. You know, all achievements go through these steps, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And I'm going to give the example of the whole shopping process. Now, what is the first thing we're aware of? Oh my gosh, the cupboard's empty. We need to fill this cupboard up again because there's no food in it. Okay, and so that's the desire part of it. It's empty is the awareness. Now we need to fill it up again. That is the desire. So then you need to have the faith. Well, it's possible. I can go down there or up there or across there or jump in my car and get to the shops. So that's your faith. You know that's something you can do. Okay, you're not going to suddenly think, oh no, the shops are going to disappear, I can't go. You know that the shops will be there somewhere along the lines. You know that you can go there and so that's the faith. And then you make a decision to go to the shops. You know, right, I'm going to go now, I'm going to go in 2 hours time, I'll go tomorrow. But you make a decision. Okay, and then by doing that, you've established your goal. Then you have to work on that goal. And that can be anything. Going to the shops, writing a list, selecting the goods, paying for them. The working on it is the longest bit, but it's not necessarily the hardest bit. But then, as I said, the working on the goals is usually a series of processes. Loading cupboards, when you put it back down again. And so now the final bit is, you know, your awareness has now been completed, and then you rest. Okay, that bit is done. You draw a line under it. Sometimes you're even encouraged to really acknowledge that it's been done, either through gratitude, thank you, my cupboard is full, by celebrating, yay, let's have the bit of 90% chocolate that I bought just to celebrate the fact I've done it, whatever, you know. But there needs to be like a sense of that has been done. And then you gain another awareness. Ah, I've got food in the cupboard. Oh, I'm hungry, I need to cook. And so then the whole process of all those 8 steps will start again. Okay, so this is just a simple example, but with anything that you do, if you look at it, you'll see that this is what we actually do. Some of us are really conscious of these steps. You know, everything can be broken down. So some of us may not be so, or maybe conscious of some. One of the interesting things is, and this is where the real taking it to a higher level now, when we're doing these things, some of us may actually look at this list again, and I'm going to go back to the back one because it simplifies the list a little bit about all that shopping stuff. And then, yeah, so going back to that simple list again, one, if you look at if you study yourself and think about yourself, your past, your history, or how you do things, you might identify, actually, I do those things, but actually each of you can look at those steps and think to yourself, where do I normally get stuck? Because it's usually because in one of these steps, you know, we tend to get stuck or aren't very good at it. And that's usually maybe that's what stops us from actually achieving these things to the fullness. Is it that you're somebody that's just not even aware that you have any, because there are some people in it, they just have no awareness. So are you one of those? Are you one of those people that, okay, you have an awareness, but there's no desire? Because you can't manifest anything without desire. So is it at the desire stage that you are blocked? Or, you know, is it the faith? Okay, you have the awareness, you have the desire, but I don't really think that can happen for whatever reason, you know. Or is it just the willingness to actually make the changes? You think it can happen, but you can't be bothered to make the change, you know. I have the talk again, bringing it back to Lyndon's talk. I will speak after his talk a few weeks ago, because I always seem to come after Lyndon. I always seem to come after Lyndon and the break, and the video that comes in. But anyway, that's not a complaint. It's just an observation. But I was fascinated by his talk last time, and I then sent the video that was on Facebook. I sent it a link to somebody I knew that was diabetic, and I said to them the next day, did you see that link? Did you see the talk about? And the answer to my shock was, yes, but everybody's different. So different things work for different people. I said, but did you watch the video? No. Have you tried anything that was suggested? No. I said, so why are you talking? Why? Until you said you've looked at the video and maybe tried some of the suggestions or even decided to get the book, how have you blocked it? How have you blocked even at that point? So although they complain of all these things every day, you know, diabetic feet, back pain, you name it, all the things associated with diabetes, the willingness was not there to make the necessary changes, not even to just say, look at a video. So clearly that person's blockage at that point, because they know they've got it. They really don't like having pain. So they've got a desire to sort it out. They even think it's possible, but the willingness would. So that's really a good example. And then obviously, you know, is it during the setting of goals that you find difficult? You know everything, but you don't know how to go about it, or you haven't quite fully made that decision. Then the working of goals is actually for some people really easy to do if they've done all the others, or maybe that's the bit where you fall down. You don't do what is necessary to do it. you don't learn the processes. You don't study how the thing really works. You're just trying to do a thing, but you don't really know how the thing works. Or you know how the thing works, but you're not prepared to do it properly. You want to cut corners. So, you know, working on the goals is a very detailed and very important part of it. And it requires patience and attention to detail as well. And then you've got the, this is the one that I observed was my issue. The last one, which was the completion and rest. I used to jump straight from 6 straight to 8. Okay, where it's like, finish that, oh, off to the next thing. And in fact, it was somebody that pointed out to me, don't you ever stop. Don't you even stop to even acknowledge what you've done. Don't you even stop to celebrate what you've done. And it's something that I have to be reminded all the time to do. So I know that's my little issue there. Okay, and one might think, well, that doesn't matter because you've done all those other things and you've even achieved some goals. But actually, it does matter. Every single one of these steps matter. Because if you don't do that last thing, after a while, you stop really appreciating yourself and recognizing who you really are, and whether or not you are actually really achieving and living your purpose. If you don't recognize the completion and rest stage, you don't actually always realize that you've even achieved anything. Because he's like, oh, off to the next thing, and then sometimes you get this feeling that you've not achieving anything when actually you have. So can you see how that's a really important part for us to acknowledge? Okay. So why is all of this important? Because okay, so that's the basics. Now taking it further up again, because everything goes.
I just want to bring to your attention, it's
Yes.
25 minutes gone.
Yes.
We have 20 minutes left altogether.
Okay.
And there need to be space for you to be asked some questions.
Okay. Okay. I'll kind of wrap it up, because that's okay, because I think I've given the basics. The deeper aspect of it can be asked through the question. I can answer through the questions perhaps, and maybe that will be another thing. But okay, going back to these 8 stages now. In everything we do, there's the basics, which I've given you. But there's also the hidden agenda that's behind everything in our lives. So when I spoke last time, I spoke about the subconscious blocks, or what we call programming, yeah, which each of us tend to have, and that have been planted there from the past, including past lives. And past lives could be past lives as in when we were little, in the womb, even womb stuff, between lives, or even past lives as in other past incarnations that we may have had, right? So all these things, each time we come into a physical body, all of that old stuff downloads into the physical body. A bit like how you've got a disc you might have a disc on like a, what do you call this, CD, right? And I can take it out of that computer and put it into the next computer, and the same stuff kind of downloads. So it kind of, so when we from one physical body, or from one body, or even one spiritual body, if you've got a load of programming in there, we come to another incarnation, it comes. So the work for me, or the work for us really, is to be able to identify these blockages in the subconscious and to clear them. That's why I'm saying about understanding and clear them. So when it comes to back to just keeping it focused to these 8 steps, if you might identify that, for example, when I noticed that my issue was about completion and rest, I had to ask, what is that about? And so I had to identify, first of all, I recognized it, then I had to identify and know what is the programming, the blockages behind it. And then I had to go through a series of clearing from the subconscious those things that was causing that block. So all of us can do that at any stage, recognizing it and then going through the process of clearing, the parts, and the question is, why also? because the clearing gives you the whys and wherefores of yourself. You know, Galactic Clyde talked a little bit earlier about, I'm just going to wrap up quickly, about the cycles that we're on. For example, he said about the brother that was born within a really difficult cycle and spent all his life on that. As from the work I do, I'm asking, why has he chosen that lifetime in this time? And if I was able to meet him, I would have helped to clear maybe some of the blockages coming from the past lives, which meant he's come into this life with such a tall order, you know. So there's reasons behind even the reason why, for example, I'm born in September, you know, or the reason why I'm born to the particular parents that I've got, or why I was born into the particular race that I am in, or the reasons why I have blocks to my number 7 of the steps to learning or to growing or to manifesting. Okay, so there's reasons for all these things. So it's really important for us to really start to really look at these things. And just to add a little bit more to that, just to finish off, done that, is also, we can also see that also some of these blockages can be aligned to some of the energy centers in our body, which we call chakras in these, and I haven't really quite found the African word for it. I'm sure there is, but in Sanskrit they call it chakras, which is like energy centers, and there are 7 of them in the physical body. There's actually more than 7, because there's a whole range of spiritual bodies that's not part of the physical, but in the physical there's 7 of them. So those different steps align to them. And without going into too much detail, because it gets really deep and wide, sometimes we might even find that we might find, for example, willingness to change is a block, is one of our blockages where we have a weakness. And we might also find we have issues around the heart as well. So sometimes you can get clues to your issues from your body. So the energy centers are kind of in charge of the different areas of the body. If there's blockages in the heart chakra, you may well have some issues around the heart. If there's issues in the throat chakra, you might have issues around expressing yourself and being able to speak, and you might even get throat problems, or issues around the throat, or so on. So the body is all interconnected and integrated, but all of them are linked to these 8 steps as well. I think that's all. Bearing in mind the time, I'm sure I had the shortest talk, but never mind. That's I think it's okay actually, because that is, to me, it is as simple as that. Where in going deeper is really doing the work to do the recognizing within ourselves and do the clearing.
So here's a clue. Stop talking and just deal with the questions.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd be saying, I didn't have no time to answer questions.
I'm not talking about that now. I've gone past that already. I'm just saying.
I know.
I'm just saying that the next aspect really from this is to really being prepared to, you know, understand, ask the questions, and see how we're going to work on ourselves. And not be afraid and not shy away from really working on ourselves in a deep way, because it makes a difference. It's life-changing to be able to work at this level, you know. So I'm not talking surface stuff with this, we're talking life-changing.
Thank you very much, Sister Nkechi. Thank you.
Thank you.
The question, the doors are open. You can unmic yourself and ask your question.
I have a question. Nkechi, it'd be interesting to see how the cycle of the 8 steps are connected with the 8-step cycle of the moon, from new moon all the way to the moon cycle, because there's 8 steps. It'd be interesting to do a comparison with that and the lunar cycle, because you got the new moon, the beginning stage.
Let's
you know?
do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it one day, or soon, because one of the things I find is that, because a lot of that's why I'm so fascinated by all of this. Hold on, let me just get rid of the. Let me get rid of. I can't really see now anyone. Okay. What's fascinating about all of this is that the more I do, the simpler everything becomes. So, like, I'm listening to Galactic Clyde has just said this. I'm almost nearly 100% sure that there'll be some alignment to everything, because everything does become simpler. So I'm speaking to some people and they're talking and I don't know really, they're using terminology I don't know. So I get them to break down what they're saying, and then I can align it to some of my understanding based on what I've learned and my experience. And I go, oh, that's what you're talking about. And this is what we need to learn to do. We need to learn to ask people, each other questions. You know, so I notice sometimes people are talking and everyone's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. But we don't really know what they're saying, and we're afraid to say, what do you really mean by that? So if you ask, what do you really mean by that? Then you can really then start to align your understanding with what they're saying. So Clive, I'm down with it.
Yeah, well, a symbol come to mind about the square and the diamond, because it's turning your squares into diamonds. Because the 4 steps on the 8th step, you got the square, and then the other 4, how you change it around to the diamond. So the square diamond would be a very good symbol to work with for yourself in working with people, and to turn the difficulty into opportunity. It's like that, which is the diamond. Because in astrology,
I'm a diamond. I actually am a 6 of diamonds. That is the 6 of diamond. And guess what? Years ago, you've probably forgotten. You brought that to my attention.
Interesting, because the diamond is, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Nkechi.
Thank you too. Any other questions? That's so interesting.
Anybody got any questions?
Yes.
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 Okay.
How much do you charge for your consultation?
Why do people want to know things like that?
You never ask somebody that question publicly. Text her privately and ask the question.
Yeah, because the reason why.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah,
I'll send you a leaflet anyway, but also as well, it's in some ways it's a good question because it shows what I'm interested in. I just want to go.
Exactly.
So part of me understands that question, but the other part of me would like to talk more about the details of what you would expect, because so that when you give your price, you understand the value. You understand. So
and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering how much it is anyway, but they don't want to say.
I don't mind saying.
No, not you saying, but they don't want to ask the question.
It's usually a private question. You get a better deal.
All right, cool.
What I'll do is I'm going to put a leaflet in. Well, I might as well just do it now while I'm thinking about it, into the. I'm going to put a leaflet into the.
But I've got your number anyway. I can give you a ring or text you or something.
Okay. Yes, I think I left the number up there.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Any other questions, please?
Any other questions?
Just a quick question. I don't know if I can come in. I came in today.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, you can.
I came in midway anyway. Sorry, I got some program I was dealing with, so I need to follow up. So I just came in to show my presence. My quick question, because I heard her mentioning about yoga. I just want to know, is there like yoga she's talking about? Is it just like yoga meditation, or there is different varieties of yoga?
Yoga actually means unity. So it's about bringing. It's funny enough, when I was learning about yoga, the whole purpose of yoga and all those exercises that you do is really so that for the purpose of being fit enough and stable enough within yourself and strong enough to sit and meditate. That's one of the first things I was taught, which came as a bit of a surprise. Oh dear, I hope you can't. My grandson's trying to get in.
Sorry.
Please grab him.
The yoga you're talking about, because like for many of us, we do different form of yoga, based on the fact that we share similar culture, Igbo culture, because meditation sometimes, I don't know, the yoga, because there's different variety of yoga. Some people maybe
you might be on your bed meditating. For some people, they have to be in a quiet environment. For some people, they have to sit and do body position.
Your question. Are you asking what is yoga, or are you asking does yoga I teach include meditation? I don't quite get your question. Be clear.
No, I'm trying to. What I'm asking basically is like I'm asking basically. I know yoga involves some kind of meditation. Is it complete about? I'm just trying to get an understanding exactly what is yoga. Are there different varieties of yoga? Is there a position you have to be in yoga? That's just the question I'm asking. Yeah.
What I'm going to do is invite you to my Zoom yoga classes that I do. I'm going to do one tomorrow morning, and come and experience. But there is different types of yoga, and some people do yoga and they just focus on the exercises, or what we call asanas, which is the different poses and postures. Some people do that, and they flow from one posture to the next. Others hold the posture static for a period of maybe like 5 breaths. Some people do a yoga class from beginning to end and there's no relaxation or meditation in it, and others spend a lot of time in relaxation and meditation. So there's a lot of different types of yoga. There's some where the whole class for an hour, you may only do 5 postures, because you might sit in one posture or hold one posture for a long time because you're really trying to stretch the body. So there's different ways you can do yoga. When I do it, I do the usual thing that I do, which is kind of get a sense what it is I need to be giving to the people today, or to be helping them to experience based on the energy of the day. So I'm not very, you'll never know what you're going to get in my class, because it all just depends on and I don't do come in and here we go, do the same old thing each and every day. No, it just depends on the vibe. You just do what we call a yin yoga, where they sit in the postures for a long time, really allowing the ligaments and muscles to just take time to stretch. That's it. I hope that answers your question. Does it?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right, my dear. Any other questions, please?
Anybody else? Okay. So it seems like nobody else has got any more questions, and I can't see anything else in the chat. Oh, one question. Where is the centre located?
It's located in Woodford Green. It's located in Woodford Green. That's where I work from. I've been doing this work since 1995 actually. So I'm very established at it, and I started off working in different buildings that I was renting. I was in one building for a whole 11 years in Gants Hill, and then I'd been in various buildings. I think Galactic, Clyde, by the time I met you, 2010, I was in the building across from where I live, in an big office block, but I had a nice little suite in there. What I did in 2014 as part of my, again, manifestation for myself, I felt like I needed to be more self-sufficient, and I felt like I needed to, prove that I can build something for myself. And so I built, I had a log cabin built in my back garden. And I felt wanted to no longer be spending all of my earnings with some faceless somebody that I didn't know, who I was never going to meet, and that was eating half my profits for my business. And so I built that log cabin, and it has been a real blessing. So I now work from my own building, basically. I've become self-sufficient in that way. So, but I'm based in Woodford Green, which is northeast London, outskirts of northeast London.
And it's a lovely log cabin too.
Yeah, sister, you've been there. Yeah, it's lovely to work from there. But I was in there the other time, but I'm not sure that this time of the day, I don't know if because everyone's on the internet, the internet didn't work. We seem to be, I think, a bit more stable tonight. I'm in my music room instead. I'm in my studio today where I do my radio show from.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I put the leaflet into the...
people can download it?
Yeah, so people can download it now.
Download it now.
And that gives all the information. You know, but feel free to give me a call and ask more, because I've only spoke very briefly about the concept, but I haven't really explained, you know, what you would expect from you know, what would the kind of level of change that you would expect, how I work. I haven't gone into detail. I was more interested in you understanding that you've got these steps.
Queen, can I just jump in here and interrupt you? I do apologize. You have put the leaflet, I think you've sent it to me, but I'm not sure that you've sent it to everyone.
Oh yes, because I sent a message to Sister Sandra earlier.
I did message you, but you didn't.
It's 22
oh,
hours.
Thank you. Okay, I'll quickly just put it in. Thank you very much for letting me know, Sister Sandra.
Very much, Sister Nkechi.
Yeah.
Very, as I said, inspiring.
It's there for everybody now. Sorry.
Up the as I said, the niches where we can get stuck. So thank you. You know, it's given us sort of like something to think about, because I mean, we can go, you know, everybody's at a different stage. So you know,
everybody's different stage. We've come here with different challenges, and before we can even learn to work together, we need to kind of deal with our own personal stuff. If I'm sort of all blocked and I can't do this, and I've come and worked with you, Auntie Jean, you know, and I've come with my stuff. That's why some of us are not going as far with our things as we want to. So the personal journey is really key for everybody if we're going to be able to work as a team. If we all come clear without the baggage that we often have, then it'd be easier for us to work purposefully without the isms and the schisms and all the emotional stuff that sometimes just stops us from really enjoying the work we can do together.
Most definitely.
Thank you
very much. And also a big thank you to Galactic Clyde, as ever, and also to Brother Lyndon Wissart, who I know is no longer with us because he had another appointment to attend to. So big thank you for that. You will see Galactic Clyde again tomorrow Sunday at the Auntie Jean's African Culture Market, along with our Sister M Queen, and also Chief Montana and Siam. And also the last but not least was it Daddy Next Go, who is a poet, and also he's also a spoken word artist. So that's on Sunday. Don't forget tomorrow we've got Under the Mango Tree. I think Royston has actually put the details into the chat, so you can actually save the chat by clicking on the dots, and it will save your chat to your device. So don't forget to register for that. I think that by Royston's email address. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Absolutely wonderful. Royston, you have something to say?
Yeah, just Sister Nkechi talked about step 1 being awareness. Bring your awareness to the mango tree tomorrow. See you there.
That sounds like a good thing. Yeah.
Wonderful. Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good night.
you. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Welcome. Good night, everyone. Thanks very much. Anybody needs help with the Zonkin, just contact me. It's free on behalf of the Garvey Village.
Oh, good thanks. Good thanks.
Give thanks.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, listen,
Night.
the Waltons, isn't it?
Isn't it? Good night, John boy. Nah.
Good night.
Rockabye baby on the treetop. Okay, everybody.
I hope you've saved your chat and you've downloaded the oh, actually let me download as well at the moment, because I'm sort of like
it's already gone.
So wait, let me download.
You're lucky you never pressed the button.
Thank you. All right, everybody got your bits downloaded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Good night.
Night. Night.
Love and peace. Good night.
Good
night.
Good night. Good night. See you Sunday.
Yeah, see you Sunday.
All right.
All right. Boom.